Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So the quote-unquote government shutdown, the latest installment of shutdown theater, narrowly averted, as is usually the case, but not without the Democrat socialists, the new Marxists, being essentially hoisted by their own rhetorical petards. They have talked themselves into corners such that neither faction, the Schumer faction and those who voted for cloture to move the continuing resolution to fund the government, as well as the backbenchers and ankle biters, the AOCs and the Comrade Bernies, who all of a sudden rediscover their love for the filibuster and government shutdowns. They're both full of it, and it's fun to watch them do rhetorical combat, each expressing their own version of the bull jive. So here is an example of what I'm talking about. This is AOC, who is distraught over the betrayal, as she would characterize it, by Pagliacci and 9 of his colleagues.
I think there is a deep sense of outrage and betrayal. And this is not just about progressive Democrats. This is across the board, the entire party. Yeah. There are members of Congress who have won Trump-held districts in some of the most difficult territory in the United States, who walked the plank and took innumerable risks in order to defend the American people, in order to defend Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare, just to see Senate Democrats even consider acquiescing to Elon Musk. I think it is a huge slap in the face, and I think that there's a wide sense of betrayal if things proceed as currently planned.
But I thought shutdowns were end times events.
The CR is bad, but a shutdown is worse. So how do you respond to that point?
That is, I cannot understate. I mean, I cannot underscore enough how incorrect that is. Because what this does, what voting for this CR does, is that it codifies the chaos and the reckless cuts that Elon Musk has been pursuing. The robbing of our federal government in order to finance tax cuts for billionaires is what is happening, and that is what Senate Democrats will be empowering if they vote for the CR.
But Chuck Schumer says that if we don't have the CR and we do have this quote-unquote shutdown of government, then every veteran is going to lose their job, and people won't get Social Security checks, and people won't get their Medicaid coverage they need, and they'll die in emergency rooms waiting for coverage, and so on and so forth. So it's end times either way, according to the two factions. Isn't this fun?
312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. You could also text us on that very same line. It's up and running. Yeah, this is so cute what they're doing, Dan, don't you think?
Adding to this, before we get to some more entertaining commentary. Well, I mean, this is entertaining in a sense, like it's. Well, I mean, when you see, it's the sort of entertaining in the Schadenfreude sense, when you see your opponent immolating you, I don't know, you're appreciative of the whatever led to this. Chris Murphy, who is one of these noxious, honky leftists from Connecticut. There are many, actually. He was on Meet the Press, basically parroting the AOC line about end times if we are perceived to be working with Republicans, and we should have gone for the quote-unquote shutdown, even though 5 minutes ago, like the last time this was this possibility of a quote-unquote shutdown was at the hands of congressional Republicans. That was an apocalyptic event too, but not now.
I understand that had we gone into a shutdown, even for a handful of days, it would have been difficult, but it would have sent a message that the Democratic Party is not going to be bullied by Donald Trump. We are not going to let them write spending bills unilaterally that cut programs for people we care about, that give the president new and extraordinary power. I think Democrats in this country, but I think the broad middle of the public as well, want to see our party fighting in exceptional ways. That is the conversation that has to happen inside of the Democratic Party, inside our caucus. And if we don't get that right, if we continue to work with Republicans, if we continue to hand Donald Trump more power, we are going to lose our democracy.
End of democracy, of course. But Senator Murphy, Hakeem Jeffries in the House, who agrees with you on this government shutdown, or agrees with you in opposing the CR that would have led to this quote-unquote shutdown, which is, again, temporary furlough of non-essential workers. Hakeem Jeffries and you folks, just back when it was Republicans who were potentially threatening such an event, you guys were saying this.
Republicans are marching America to a painful government shutdown.
But we need traditional Republicans to break with MAGA extremists so we can keep the government open.
Republican shutdown will cost 6,306 of her constituents their paychecks.
Put the bill on the floor for an up or down vote so we can end this MAGA Republican nightmare. And if you don't, you own this government shutdown.
And we could put the threat of a shutdown behind us. Our agreement would keep the government open, provide emergency aid for communities battered by hurricanes and other natural disasters.
It's about the harm that House Republicans will do to the American people if the government shuts down.
I'm having a hard time figuring out which is more apocalyptic, according to them, as they are also having a hard time, it would seem. Scott Jennings over on CNN, the token center-right person that they have on there, is sort of a mascot to feign balance and interest in opinions that are not shared by all. I mean, at CNN. Scott Jennings had this praise for Schumer.
First of all, I just want to say I'm grateful for Chuck Schumer today. He helped defeat a racist Jim Crow filibuster in the Senate. And to stand up against the racist Jim Crow filibuster tactics was a moment of pure courage. And I just think he should be lauded by anybody in any party for that. That's number one. Not only that, but he saved us from the Democrats in the House, laying off every single veteran in the federal government. Chuck Schumer, working with Donald Trump, saved us from that.
Saved us from House Democrats, saved us from the racist filibuster. Remember, the filibuster that all these pro-government shutdown Democrats of recent vintage supported was something that was a racist Jim Crow-era relic when it was something that Republicans were defending from the clutches. Right? They wanted to end the filibuster because the filibuster is an impediment to the kind of vigorous and aggressive lawmaking they wanted to do when they were in power. And now when they're not, all of a sudden the filibuster becomes something that's convenient and that's something that they want to use. And now they're upset with Schumer for not using it. How about that? You know, it's interesting. One of those 9 senators, 9 Marxist senators that allied with Pagliacci, Dick Durbin.
Really?
Dick Durbin was one of the 9 who wasn't on board for the shutdown. And it can't be because Durbin is worried about being a hypocrite, because that debate has long been settled. So I just wonder, I just take notice of Durbin siding with Schumer on this. I mean, maybe you could say it's just because he's the number 2 and out of sort of personal fealty and allegiance, but I just wonder if maybe the rumors of Dick Durbin stepping away this cycle are untrue. Craig in Mount Greenwood.
Oh, hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. Thank you for taking my call. The interesting and very, very crazy good thing about this is the dumb rats got themselves in like a little trap by their own lying and scheming and all their shenanigans. So heads they lose, tails they lose. It's such a beautiful thing to see how when they can't control all of their lying and bad policies, how it has come back to bite them big time.
Exactly. Thanks for the call, Craig. And it's biting the party as a whole in terms of the brand. And that's not me saying it. That's CNN saying it. Here's some CNN poll reported over the weekend.
Americans' favorable views of the Democratic Party's brand are at a record low, just 29%. That's compared to 36% for Republicans. It is the lowest ever recorded for Democrats in CNN polling, going back more than 30 years.
I mean, so it's not that the Republicans are, widely beloved, but the Dems are in free fall. And what you saw over the last 3 or 4 days with what we've just described here, with both sides being wrong, just coming to different conclusions about how they want to express their wrongness, is not doing anything to aid and abet those numbers that Manu Raju, who you just heard, report for CNN. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Attention American homeowners, you're under attack. Your home and equity could be vulnerable to cyber thieves. There's only one company that completely stops them, and that company is Equity Protect. Equity Protect prevents any attempts to steal your home, equity, and ownership 24/7. Get your free risk report today by texting the word HOME to 94878. That's right, text the word HOME to 94878 to get your free risk report. Keep your equity and legacy safe with Equity Protect.
You never want to miss one of life's most important moments. A graduation, a birthday, a first communion, a wedding. When these moments happen, you want to make sure to capture them so that you and your loved ones can remember them for years to come. For over 30 years, families have relied on Tom Kaloran Photography to capture important life moments. This locally owned family business can provide the solutions you need for your important event photography, from weddings and birthdays to class reunions and golf outings. No matter the size or scope, Tom Kaloran Photography will make sure you have lasting memories to share for years to come. Tom Kaloran Photography is also the official photographer for AM 560 The Answer. To learn more and to see their portfolio, just visit KaloranPhotography.com. That's KILLORAN photography.com. Or call them at 708-361-0025. Tom Kaloran Photography, capturing important life moments for over 30 years.
MyPillow is excited to announce that they're extending the mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save $40 on the new spring MyPillow bed sheets, any size and any color. Save 30% on their brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one Mike has worn every day for over 20 years. They come in men's and women's, and they're made right here in the USA. Get the 6-piece bath or kitchen towel sets for only $29.98. The initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. And the best-selling standard MyPillow, just $14.98. To take advantage of the Mega Sale 2.0, go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201. But that's not all. You'll get free shipping on orders over $75. Once again, call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY or visit MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
538, Kash Patel responds to the swatting of conservatives, including Trump impersonator Sean Farash. That's 538.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
532, 27 degrees and clear skies this morning. Cleanup and recovery efforts are continuing today after powerful storms marched across parts of the South and Midwest. Preliminary reports indicate a majority of deaths occurred in Missouri, where at least 12 were killed. Canadian ambassador to the U.S. insisting the two countries are still close allies, despite recent trade disagreements. Kirsten Hillman telling Fox News Sunday after recent meetings between officials from both countries, she expects announcements that will impact tariffs by next month.
And we understood from them his whole global agenda in this respect. And we talked about how Canada can fit into that.
Hillman also rejected the idea that Canada would ever become a 51st state. The U.S. under President Donald Trump has launched a new campaign of intense airstrikes against Yemen's Houthi rebels. Mike Waltz telling Fox News Sunday the military launched devastating strikes against the Iran-backed group.
We hit the Houthi leadership, killing several of their key leaders last night, their infrastructure, the missiles.
Houthi rebels had targeted over 100 merchant vessels with missiles and drones, sinking 2 vessels and killing 4 from November of 23 until January of this year. A federal judge tried to bar the Trump administration Saturday from carrying out deportations under a sweeping 18th century law the president invoked just hours earlier to speed the removal of Venezuelan gang members. Wholesale egg prices are coming down. The U.S. Department of Agriculture reporting the national average wholesale price of a dozen eggs dropped $2.70 last week. 5 are hurt following a 2-vehicle crash in the far northwest suburbs. The accident happened yesterday morning near North Union and Route 176 in Marengo during whiteout-type conditions. A Riverdale woman is charged in a shooting at a Chicago liquor store Friday that left 5 people wounded. Angela Flores faces attempted murder and other charges. Bulls lost to Houston Saturday, visit the Jazz tonight. Billy Donovan's squad has a 4.5-game lead over Toronto for the final NBA play-in spot in the East. Illinois dancing in the NCAA tournament, the Illini earning a 6 seed following a loss to Maryland in the Big Ten tournament. They'll take on either Xavier or Texas. The Illini women dancing as well, taking on Creighton on Saturday. The news, a service of the daily podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and The Sean Thompson Show. Subscribe free, 560theanswer.com/podcast. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
When you need to talk about what's happening today.
Hey, can I talk to you for a second?
There's one place you can come to. The Sean Thompson Show.
Do it! Do it, I dare you. Do it!
Get in the conversation.
Everybody talks about that show. Sounds great, doesn't it?
Weekdays starting at 4.
This is easy.
I like his honesty and his frankness. Every day I listen to him, I learn.
He says what's on his mind. He's real.
Best person out there to listen to. We're combating people who prefer the lie.
He's Sean Thompson, only on AM 560. The Answer.
Did you know that AM 560 Radio has a full-service digital marketing division called Salem Surround? If you're a business decision maker, listen up. AM 560 listeners are everywhere your potential audience is. So are our incredible targeting capabilities. We localize digital marketing and put it within reach of every business, small and large, in Chicagoland and beyond. Salem Surround offers AI-powered marketing solutions that reach your ideal audience. Whether or not you tap into the proven live, local, and emotional connection that AM 560 Radio brings, Salem Surround offers a total marketing solution to our partners. All-in-one digital solutions that provide targeted local digital and social media ads, Google AdWords management, website services, video strategy, search optimization, and even a management dashboard to offer you total campaign updates and transparency. Your Salem Surround representative is located right here in Chicago. Experience the Salem Surround digital revolution today. Call 847-472-8951. That's 847-472-8951.
When I started skiing, I didn't think about setting any records. When I won my first race, I didn't think about how many more I might win. So when I made it to the top of the world, it never crossed my mind to stop. Being the best isn't the same as being your best. There are no shortcuts to the top, so find the people who help get you there. I'm Michaela Schifrin, and that's what Team Stiefel means to me. If you're an advisor or an investor, choose Stiefel, where success meets success.
Stiefel Nicholas & Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Past performance is no indication of future results. Investing involves risk. Consult a financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
Replacing windows in the winter may seem counterintuitive, but the fact is, it's a great time to really feel the difference of high-performance windows from Valdecas.
When it's time to consider new windows, siding, and doors for your home, you need to look no further. Sebastian Gorka here to tell you about Valdecas. Valdecas has been the trusted name chosen by thousands of homeowners, and they should be your number one choice too. But what's really behind the name Valdecas? Over 25 years of a team dedicated to providing you with the best customer service experience and products that truly bring value to your home. They are a Pella Platinum Elite Status certified contractor for a reason. They have an A+ rating with the BBB, as well as high ratings and positive reviews on both Google and Houzz. Schedule your free in-house consultation at valdecast.com.
Ask about exclusive manufacturer warranties and the Valdecast 10-year workmanship guarantee.
Don't wait. Book today at valdecast.com. For the best in class, it's Valdecast.
Hey, heard you're getting ready to move.
We just listed our house on the market.
Just make sure you have the right attorney.
Doesn't the real estate agent take care of all that?
They stay involved, but you want to make sure you have a great lawyer that's negotiating the terms, helping resolve inspection items, clearing up title issues, preparing the deed and other documents, and attending the closing.
The attorneys at Nauman & Associates in Elk Grove Village have decades of experience handling real estate transactions every day all over Chicagoland. NALawGroup.com.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
5:39, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of almostfreeteeth.com. If you've been getting high quotes for dental implants, medical PPO insurance, it might be possible to save 90% on average. See if you qualify today at almostfreeteeth.com. Winnetka, structure fire bottling up the intersection of Walden and Pine this morning. On the roads, Bishop Ford already slowing up from Cottage Grove into the Ryan Merge, and Ryan South End heavy and slow 95th up through 79. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Windy and warmer with sunshine today, high 55. Breezy this evening, partly cloudy, low 43. High near 67 tomorrow. It's clear and 27 right now at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, when they're not firebombing Tesla dealerships. The left is making phony 911 calls to scramble police to the homes of conservatives and their family members. It's called swatting. I'm sure most of you have heard of it. And it's used as a political weapon, mainly by the left, as far as I know. It's not only obnoxious, it's dangerous,
illegal.
And it's illegal. It's illegal because it's dangerous. This is an example of what we're talking about. There was a rash of these over the last several days as several conservative podcasters and people with big presences on social media were targeted, including Sean Farash. You've heard him many times on this show. He is like the Trump impersonator, par excellence. Farash and his wife took to X to explain what happened to them.
Okay.
Hey, guys, it's Sean, my wife, Brennan, and just wanted to give you guys an update. We did just get swatted here in Tennessee. The officer said they received a phone call that somebody murdered somebody in the house and was planning a suicide by cop. So I received the call with that information. We cooperated with police. They were very nice.
They were actually very nice.
Very, very nice. They were not aware that this was going on across the country. But was that, how did you feel about that? What was going through your head when you saw officers in the backyard with guns?
I was shaking. I was terrified. I was the only one awake. He was asleep.
Yeah.
And they were just pointing their guns into the house, and I was very scared. I was very scared.
And that's the point, and that's what these people are trying to do. They are trying to silence folks who are not afraid to speak their mind online. And you've seen it happen to so many other people across the country. We're going to do what we can from Tennessee to try and get to the bottom of who's responsible for it. I'd like to see the Justice Department or somebody somewhere get involved with getting to the bottom of it, because you can see it's it's not a joke. You're coming up to people's homes with very, very big guns that are very unsettling to a lot of people. And, one wrong move could create a disaster. And
Sean handled it very well. He was very calm and collected.
Yeah, because we're seeing it happening all across the country. Yeah. We have nothing to hide. None of this stuff happened. But the bottom line is that if the result was that the person or people who did this was that I was going to stop doing things, it's not going to happen. So we're not blinking.
FBI Director Kash Patel posting, I want to address the alarming rise in swatting incidents targeting media figures. The FBI is aware of this dangerous trend. My team and I are already taking action to investigate. This is about weaponizing law enforcement against any American, which is not only morally reprehensible, but also endangers lives, including those of our officers. It won't be tolerated. I'll give you another example of what we're talking about here.
Yeah, I've got one, too, for you.
Nick Sorter, who is a conservative podcaster and sort of provocateur, he does a lot of man-on-the-street stuff. He said that both his father and sister were swatted the same day. A dozen cops attempted to kick my dad's door down at gunpoint.
Wow.
This is literally effing terrorism. The FBI should treat it as such. Before calling in the SWAT, these dumb blanks sent my sister an email calling me a Nazi. Of course, so the motive is clear. And, this is nothing, he argues, this is nothing short of attempted murder. They wanted the police to kill my father. Well, right, you're scrambling the police on unsuspecting people who have no reason to believe they're going to be encountered by police because they're not doing anything wrong. And police don't know on the other end because they're doing their job responding to a 911 call. And all of a sudden you have officers with guns drawn and people that are afraid. And thankfully, conservatives, cooler heads, you recognize police, you cooperate. But as you heard from Sean Farash, one wrong move, and it's a tragedy. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line.
Also affected was our good friend Dustin Grange. He lives in Minnesota. He's been on the show a few times. He actually lives in Minneapolis and writes for Town Hall. And he and his wife were swatted on Saturday night. They have young children. He said late last night we were swatted. Shortly after, we were also delivered pizzas we never ordered. Not every victim of swatting has the same relationship with law enforcement as our family, nor may they have an excellent police department. Some aren't as fortunate. But make no mistake, we're not taking this lightly. We are treating this threat seriously and see it no differently than an intentional attack on the lives of my wife, our young children, and myself. So thankfully they're okay too. But somebody called 911 and said the same exact thing, Dan, that there was a murder in the house and that they wanted, suicide by police.
And so you've got Congress humans taking this up and talking about enhanced penalties and so on and so forth. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be imperative that Kash Patel gets to the bottom of this. Hopefully that will be possible. And at least someone is made an example of because of, the obvious situation it creates.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could also text us on the very same line. But God, can you imagine they tried to bust down your door? And what if, you're right, what if they got in and you didn't know what was going on and there was an accidental shooting? I mean, they don't know. This is what's so wrong. Because they used to SWAT celebrities, remember? That was a big thing for a while, then that stopped. And now they're actually, remember the guy who goes under the name Cat Turd? He was swatted on Saturday night as well. So a lot of people on social media who are conservatives are being targeted.
This is just, again, another tactic of the Antifa left. These are people who believe in violence as a legitimate expression of resistance to the administration. You actually heard it last week by Seth Moulton, who's a congresshuman, new Marxist from Massachusetts. Basically was asked the question about some of these protestations at Tesla dealerships or of Tesla owners individually. And of course, they have metastasized into actual attacks on people who own Teslas, people who are Tesla dealers, even vandalism, even sort of just basic vandalism of Teslas to make a point. And you have sitting members of Congress basically acting as apologists for that. In point of fact, Mark Kelly, senator from Arizona, who continues to fall in my estimation every time I hear him utter something, he posted this video. Now, he's not promoting violence. He's not promoting breaking the law, but just the whole need to virtue signal on this business and send the message that this is the way that we strike back. He was touting the Chevy Tahoe he just bought in exchange for the Tesla he sold, because Elon Musk is Hitler.
All right, here I am with my new ride.
Yay.
Chevy, good old Chevy Tahoe here in Washington, D.C. Got one of these in Tucson as well. This one was made by Union Labor, United Auto Workers in Arlington, Texas. Always good to buy Union cars, incredibly reliable. And I'm looking forward to driving this for many, many years.
I watch Mark Kelly.
Wow, he's my hero.
I watch Mark Kelly. I listen to people like that. And people like Seth Moulton, people like Chris Murphy we heard from earlier. And I just wonder, the only people in the 2025 iteration of the Democratic Party, the only people in that party that have testicles are the people that identify as women. There is not a cis hetero man in the bunch. Really.
No.
It's just amazing that what they countenance and what they and again, using their own words against them, like we just talked about with the CR, if silence is violence, what they countenance in their name. Swatting, attacking people, firebombing Tesla dealerships, facilitating Musk derangement syndrome, this idea that he's a Nazi and so forth. It's astounding. In point of fact, speaking of which,
yes,
further this example beyond swatting, because it's just a tactic. Bill Burr, he's a comedian, so you don't take him that seriously, and I don't. And he's uneven. We've played Bill Burr's bites on this show that I find hysterical. But he's a comedian. He doesn't know anything.
Right.
And so he's just sort of a knee-jerk man of the left, and you criticize whatever the entertainment industry says you're supposed to criticize. So that's what Bill Burr does. And that's what he did on The Breakfast Club with that Charlemagne, talking about mainly Elon Musk.
Period. And then like a few years later, this guy Sieg Heil twice.
Two of them.
Once in the front, if you missed it in the back. And it's just like, he still has a job. That guy still has a job. I don't understand those guys. And this isn't politically. It's just like, I don't understand why they're so upset with this country. It's like, you're billionaires. I think it's working for you. Like, why are you going and telling everybody, justify what you do? It's like, fucking justify what you do. That piece of car that you're making that the government financed. No?
But you know what you just said? You said that Elon still has a job. He's the richest man in the world. There's nothing they can do to him. And that's all he proved. There's nothing anybody can do to him by throwing up when he did that. What do you take from him? He's not Kyrie Irving. He's not Kanye. Like, what do you do?
Yeah, but you keep, I don't know. Listen, I don't know how this shit works. I'm just saying that, if you said the wrong thing as a comedian, all of a sudden you lost your TV show.
But you're not the richest man in the world. If you was the richest comedian in the world, ever.
What I don't get is the amount of veterans that people in the armed services that died trying to stop Hitler, and then this guy comes in, and does that. While being an immigrant, too, which is kind of the whole thing, just none of it, tracks how you can be the support the troops, America, love it or leave it, and then this guy comes in and gives a shout-out to Hitler.
Makes no sense at all.
Yeah, it doesn't. So, I don't know, but then somehow that gets, politicized. I'm not trashing Republicans. All Republicans did not Sieg Heil. That guy did, and I was just amazed that all liberals had was one day of outrage. And they're like, all right, I guess that didn't work. And then we just kind of move on.
Because they realize they can't do anything to him. Like, what do you do other than send out some angry tweets?
The reason that that back and forth between Charlemagne and Bill Burr is relevant is because that's about the quality of the critical thinking that is on display in I don't want to say a majority, but a significant percentage of American households, in the minds of a significant percentage of Americans. This is the quality you get. So they're completely unbounded by the fact they were champions of Tesla, like Mark Kelly, who's a sitting senator, for goodness sakes. Completely unbounded that they were champions of Tesla because it was going to save the world, save the planet,
Right.
because this was part of combating climate change. That was the basis of these green subsidies that Bill Burr just referenced. Everybody was a big fan until Elon Musk's politics changed, and now they could care less about saving the planet because it's a piece of POS car that's financed by the government, and that's a pejorative. Before it was celebrated, now it's a pejorative. I mean, it's the same thing we see going back and forth with the filibuster in the context of the continuing resolution. Completely unbounded because there is no thinking there. There's just political cant that's being recited, and then at some point, quite often, it runs into itself because you're just articulating the position of the moment without any basis for it, and sometimes the position of the moment runs into the position you had in the last moment, and that's Bill Burr trying to talk this out in real time, being confused because he hasn't devoted any thought to it.
Somebody texted him. Well, we have a lot of text messages. You can call us 312-642-5600 or text us on that same line. Dan and Amy, isn't it funny? Senator Kelly posted the Tesla trade on Elon Musk's social media platform.
Right.
Yeah, because that's what they do. They're hypocrites.
Mike in Union.
You know, Senator Kelly just does what every other American does. He's so untouched. He's just not only bought a Tahoe for D.C., but one for Arizona. Did he include the third one that he gets chauffeured around in D.C.?
Thanks for the call, Mike. Well,
That's right. They have drivers, right?
Well,
they don't need cars.
You have to have a car for both your homes. Everybody knows that.
Right.
Jerry in Milwaukee.
Yeah, good morning, Dan and Amy. Let's not forget that this is the same group of people who came up with the slogan and proudly display their signs that hate has no home here.
All right.
You know?
Yes, right. Thanks for the call. Right, of course. Right. It's a punchline. I mean, they're punchlines intellectually, but not. But the problem is not when it comes to people's public safety per this swatting. This rash of swatting that's going on. And also, you just can't have such a large percentage of the American electorate be so ill-informed and so inadequately equipped to deal with adult issues in an adult way. And we just do. It's a problem. I mean, it's one of the reasons why a lot of people in entertainment and, frankly, news and news talk are popular when they shouldn't be popular. And again, it's not to say Bill Burr doesn't have his moments, but it just shows you how easy it is. Even somebody who's a talented comedian like Burr, I mean, you just fall into these, these holes where you're not even trying to see your way out. I mean, because, Bill Burr does have his moments.
How do you feel about this?
I don't like how they interview the coaches, too, when they go to the in halftime.
Yeah.
As they're running off. I think they should just be able to stay focused on the game. They shouldn't have to talk to somebody in, a ski parker. They're like, yeah, you're down by 14. What are your thoughts? It's like, what do you think my thoughts are? It sucks. I'm worried about my job. I'll probably have to sell my house. My wife's going to leave me. I need to score more points in the other half. Who are you? Why am I talking to you? You're not even in football.
Yeah.
Did you even play to the high school level?
No, probably not.
You took journalism.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
What about...
Yeah, it's a bunch of nerds interrupt.
Greg in Jefferson Park.
Hey, good morning, guys. I love, in particular, Senator Kelly, who was an astronaut, worked for NASA for whatever, collected a pension, I'm sure, from him. And what do we got going on? We got Elon Musk's company, SpaceX, going up to, get back these stranded, just like the movie Maroon back in, 68 or something. I mean, that's essentially what's going on. Who's bailing them out? Private industry by this smart guy. It's just astonishing. It never ends with these people, man. You guys have a good.
Thanks for the call, Greg. We'll get to that at 6 o'clock.
No, it's unreal. I'm really fucking annoyed how white women have the fucking balls to throw my white privilege in my face. You know? Sort of separate themselves from these white males with their white male privilege. It's like, bitch, you're sitting in the jacuzzi with me. The are you talking about? Yeah, quit your fucking whining.
Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
At almostfreeteeth.com, they're dedicated to making smiles great again. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get a beautiful dental implant supported smile. Check if you qualify right now at almostfreeteeth.com.
Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr. Now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560. The Answer.
Rick Borick, host of Unleash Your Wealth.
When the stock market struggles, when inflation is high, you need to start looking through the inventory of all your accounts and say, is every one of these investments working as hard as it could be? Because every month during high inflation that you waste, you're losing 8 or 9% a year.
Unleash Your Wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and our new time at 2 p.m. here on AM 560, The Answer.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
As Greg in Jefferson Park mentioned, Lost in Space No More at 6:06.
But first, let's head into that newsroom and say good morning to Mike Scott.
5 hurt in a crash during whiteout conditions in Marengo. 3 tornadoes hit the Chicago area. WIND Chicago News Time, 6 o'clock.
President Trump is planning to talk to Russia's leader. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, trying to work out how and what terms they can have to end the war in Ukraine.
We'll be talking about land. We'll be talking about power plants. That's a big question.
President Trump also says his teams have been busy over the weekend trying to narrow the gaps between Ukraine and Russia. And he says a lot of progress has been made, leading to a potential conversation with Russian President Vladimir Putin as soon as tomorrow.
That's Fox's Madeline Rivera. So far, Putin's rejected the terms of a ceasefire plan that Ukraine agreed to. President Trump's thanked El Salvador for accepting 2 plane loads of deported illegal immigrants Saturday. But there is controversy. A federal judge tried to block that.
The Trump administration did not refuse to comply with a court order, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says, after the administration flew hundreds of suspected migrant gang members to El Salvador and Honduras. Leavitt says while the order from a federal district court judge had no lawful basis, it was issued after the migrants were already out of U.S. territory and airspace.
Fox's Jared Halpern. Houthi militants have fired missiles and drones at U.S. targets, but they've been shot down. The Iran-backed rebels trying to retaliate for weekend U.S. airstrikes that hit the terror group in Yemen, killing at least 53 people to stop the Houthis from attacking ships in and around the Red Sea. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz tells Fox News Sunday,
"We just hit them with overwhelming force and put Iran on notice that enough is enough."
There's a lot of damage in the South and Midwest after storms full of tornadoes. At least 40 people dead in 7 states. Fox Weather's Katie Burns in an Alabama town with a lot of tornado wreckage.
The damage here in Gordo is mainly to homes and farms in town, but the Red Cross is on the ground here in Gordo helping people impacted by the storm. And as some roads remain impassable because of downed trees and power lines, schools are closed here today, too. On the list of things people need in this town right now, hammers and garbage bags.
America's listening to Fox News.
27 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A male teen was shot and killed in the Lawndale neighborhood this morning. Chicago police tell us the shooting took place around 2 a.m. in the 1500 block of South Kildare. Area 4 detectives are investigating. No one is in custody. 5 are hurt following a 2-vehicle crash in the northwest suburbs. The accident happened yesterday near North Union and Route 176 in Marengo during whiteout-type conditions. And the National Weather Service confirms at least 4 tornadoes struck the Chicago area. Weather officials say tornadoes hit Yorkville, Bartlett, Hanover Park, and northwest Indiana. 3 are wounded following a shooting on the west side. Police say 2 men and a 16-year-old were standing outside of a home yesterday in the 4200 block of West Crystal when they were shot. No one is in custody. The investigation does continue. A new study shows Illinois' highway system has fallen to number 36 in the nation in overall condition and cost effectiveness. The Reason Foundation releasing its annual highway report examining pavement, deficient bridges, traffic congestion. Senior Managing Director Baruch Feigenbaum says Illinois fell 7 spots from last year.
Illinois, with spending ranking between 21st and 44th, depending on the category, that's not translating into better pavement condition.
Illinois ranked near the bottom for urban interstate pavement condition and in the bottom half for rural interstate pavement. Chicago area native Matt Richtman won the 40th annual LA Marathon on Sunday, becoming the first American man to take that title in 31 years.
Nice to see it all the training and all the miles and, everything behind the scenes all to pay off today.
The Canelan native set a personal best time of 2 hours, 7 minutes, and 56 seconds. Bulls visit the Jazz tonight. Illinois dancing in the NCAA tournament. The men, a 6 seed following a loss to Maryland in the Big Ten tournament. They'll take on either Xavier or Texas in round 1 on Friday. The women, 8-seeded Illinois, takes on Creighton on Saturday, and Notre Dame is a 3 seed. They'll play on Friday. Cubs took down the Yomiuri Giants in exhibition play at the Tokyo Dome, while the White Sox part ways with Joey Gallo and beat Texas in spring action. The news, a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% on average. See if you qualify. almostfreeteeth.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Larry Elder explains the real problem.
It's not about the deficit. The deficit is just the gap between how much money the government takes in and how much it spends. You can close that by simply raising taxes. The real issue is the size, scope, and intrusiveness of government. As I've said this before, can't do this now politically or even morally. But at some point, Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid have to be addressed.
The Larry Elder Show. Weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484.
You've likely heard about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you'd want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free too, with their 3-week quick start for just $19.95. An easy, affordable way to see how it could literally change your life. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally, developed by doctors. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily, it helps reduce or eliminate pain. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. Trying it couldn't be easier with their 3-week quick start for only $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. And it just takes a phone call. 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Wherever you're having pain, every day you feel better is a day you live better. Try Relief Factor's 3-week quick start today. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Hey, it's Amy Jacobson here, and I'm finally making my dream garage a reality with Level 10 Coatings. They're coming this March to coat my garage floor and give it that shiny new showroom floor look. I couldn't be more excited. Level 10 Coatings specializes in expert garage floor coatings for both residential and commercial spaces. Their floors are durable, easy to maintain, and best of all, done in just one day. If you're thinking about upgrading your garage floor with that shiny new showroom look, get it done this spring. Call my friends at Level 10 Coatings at 855-510-2628 or book your free consultation online at level10coatings.com. And here's a bonus. Mention me, Amy Jacobson, and you'll get $500 off your project. So do not wait. Call 855-510-2628 or visit level10coatings.com today. Level10coatings.com.
6:08, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Accident on the outbound Edens. A left lane block outbound between Tower and Dundee. That car is also facing the wrong way this morning. Outbound Kennedy jammed up. Headed for the big airport this morning, 35 out to O'Hare. Dan Ryan, South End delays. Right now, 19 minutes into the circle. You're jammed up 83rd into the Skyway. And you have delays this morning in Bartlett with an accident, Munger and Humbrock Circle. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
A bit of sunshine, windy and warm today. The high at 55. Breezy this evening, partly cloudy, low tonight 43. Clouds and sun, breezy day tomorrow, high 67. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Clear in 27 at O'Hare. Next news 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Memories of your childhood, right?
Mr. Robert. I watched Lost in Space. Did you?
Apparently you didn't. Danger Will Robinson? Is that what you were trying to remember? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
Mr.
Netflix
Smith.
had a newer version of Lost in Space, too. That was pretty good. I watched that one. Yeah.
No, Lost in Space no longer, thanks to Elon Musk. The Crew 10 aboard the SpaceX Dragon making connection with the International Space Station yesterday morning.
And on behalf of the entire crew, I would like to thank all the partners, especially our SpaceX friends who trained us and enabled us to safely arrive at the International Space Station. It was so amazing to see the ISS shining in the darkness of space and symbolizing human beings, technology, and international cooperation. And it's such a great honor for us to be part of this program. We have a lot of exciting work ahead of us that we are looking forward to. Again, thank you very much to everybody who helps us to get here.
Thank you, Hitler, for getting us trained so that we can come up and rescue Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams from their 9 months in space, which is about 8 months and 20 days longer than the mission was intended. But their Boeing Starliner had problems, and so we're on the cusp of getting Butch and Suni returned home. This will be in a couple of days. And just remember, as we talked about last week, because we need answers to these questions, Butch Williams, one of those two astronauts that was stranded, confirmed that, in point of fact, this could have been done a lot earlier if the previous president had accepted the offer that Elon Musk made to the current president.
Elon Musk has said that he made the offer to bring you guys back earlier and that it was denied. My first question is that true? And if so, what would that have looked like? Was he offering to make another flight, push seats on another flight? Could you give us some background there?
I can only say that Mr. Musk, what he says is absolutely factual. We have no information on that, though, whatsoever. What was offered, what was not offered, who it was offered to, how that process went. That's information that we simply don't have. So I believe him. I don't know all those details, and I don't think any of us really can give you the answer that you would be hoping for.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. And I would think that Butch and Sunni would want answers, too, when they get back on terra firma.
Well, this was all political. Biden didn't want Elon Musk, who's backing Trump, to look like the hero during a presidential election. I mean, think about it. They could have been home for the holidays with their loved ones. But instead, they're stuck in space, and they kept giving them experiments to do to keep them busy so they wouldn't lose their mind. And, they thanked President Trump yesterday and Elon Musk. Trying to get to that. Here it is.
We're coming back before long, so, don't make all those plans without me. We'll be back before too long.
I can tell you at the outset, all of us have the utmost respect for Mr. Musk, and obviously respect and admiration for our President of the United States, Donald Trump. We appreciate.
Yeah.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, or you could also text us on the very same line. And they should be back, Dan, by tomorrow night, Tuesday night.
And this was a SpaceX and NASA basically joint operation, but of course it was a SpaceX capsule, and that says a lot of what you need to know about the, relative competency of the private enterprise versus the government enterprise. It's hard not to draw those inferences, isn't it? I did like the fact that one of the Crew 9 members greeted the Crew 10 members in an alien costume. Did you see that?
I did see that. That was funny.
It's nice to have a sense of humor.
They haven't lost their sense of humor. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, so all of this Elon Musk vitriol. Where does it go when you have an event like this that, he is largely responsible for? I'm going to be fascinated to see. Is it going to be like, well, thank you, but you're still Hitler? Or thank you, but you're still destroying our democracy? Or what? Or is it just going to be ignore this impressive feat, to say the least? And just continue on with your propagandizing unencumbered. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I'm just curious to see how the left plays this as they are running around bumping into each other. Corey and Woodlawn, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, thanks for taking the call, guys. These string of events show me one thing. The left is literally willing to play with people's lives, from astronauts in space to swatting people's homes. This is getting way out of control. Savage talks about this all the time, the coming civil war. I think we're in it. We don't even know it.
Cold Civil War, yeah. Thanks for the call, Corey. Well, this is the ends justify the means philosophy that the left features, which necessarily means that other people's lives and interests are just the means to your particular ends. This is what identitarian politics is. Using people as mascots based on their identity, not their behavior, not their conduct, not their work product. Using people as mascots to advance your political power, but your ambitions for political power. That's what all this is. So yeah, right. Everyone is expendable. Absolutely. But also it's a philosophy that the left has about people that's rooted in their adherence to the belief that command control is the way society should be organized, which is that people are burdens to be managed. They're not assets to be developed and released into into a free society. That everything's a burden. Everything is about moving things around, play this group off against that group, this person off against that person, this enterprise off against that person, because we have to manage everybody's affairs. We're in charge.
Got a text message. Dan and Amy, They haven't made it home yet. Just saying, no mission is complete until their feet touch the ground.
Well, I agree, of course.
Yeah.
But this is great progress. And all systems appear to be go. So, yeah, I mean, hopefully in the next 24 to 36 hours, the mission will be fully accomplished. But, of course, that's right.
How soon till we see the Sunni and Butch movie on Netflix?
Yeah. And Tom Hanks will play Sunni. George in Naperville.
Yes, I think the president should name a star after Elon Musk with the Star Registry.
Hi-oh. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe that's true. I don't know. Maybe a yet unnamed galaxy.
Yeah.
But you know,
they'll be treated to a hero's welcome.
Musk will have plenty of things to, get named after him when he resettles on Mars at some point.
Oh, that's right.
Maybe he'll send word back when he after the Trump administration when he leaves for Mars and.
Well, he said he's going to die on Mars. Remember, that's going to be his final resting place.
Well, he hopes, and he hopes
Right.
not in travel, not in transit, right? But he's already working on repopulating Mars, or like seeding the civilization. He's just got to take his family and his big love family with him to Mars, and he's all good.
Big love.
Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, Carl Jackson here for Dennis Prager. While Dennis Prager is recuperating, we know you miss your daily dose of Dennis. That's why Pragertopia is giving you a special gift. Right now, Pragertopia members can hear the best 2 hours of Dennis's favorite segments from as far back as 2010. On Monday, you can hear the Happiness Hour.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what I'm about.
Tuesday is Celebrity Guest Day.
Donald Trump Jr. is in studio with me.
On Wednesday, it's the Male-Female Hour.
I really do wish there were a way to ascertain the number of marriages that this hour has helped.
Thursday, the Ultimate Issues Hour.
Not having ultimate issues clarity is like having a map, but you don't know where you're going.
And Friday is Open Lines.
Feel free to ask me anything about me, about you, about life.
So if you're missing your daily dose of Dennis, go to Pragertopia.com and hear all your favorite segments along with lectures, celebrity interviews, and his famous Torah teachings and more. Get your daily dose of Dennis at Pragertopia.com, Pragertopia.com.
All right. People ask me all the time, does QC Kinetics really work? People who don't want to go through surgery with the uncertainty of not knowing whether or not it will work. Hi, Amy Jacobson here. And QC Kinetics is the real deal. If you have chronic pain in your knees, joints, in your knees, your back, your hips, elbow, shoulder, you want to call our good friends at QC Kinetics. Why? Well, they offer groundbreaking treatment for arthritis pain or pain due to injury. QC Kinetics regenerative treatments are sweeping the nation, and they're right here in the Chicago area. Thousands of patients will tell you, don't wait, call today. These new orthobiologic cellular therapies, including PRP treatments, can revitalize your joints without going under the knife. It's a free consultation. They have Saturday appointments available. So call this number to see if you're right, a fit for QC Kinetics, and get it done today. The number to call is 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. Again, 312-809-5955.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
This is Carol Platt, Liebau for Townhall.com.
However bad you suspected it was even worse. A new study reports that during the Biden administration, at least $1 trillion in taxpayer money was used to push the DEI agenda. The Functional Government Initiative in the Center for Renewing America found 460 programs across 24 government agencies spent money on DEI initiatives. This included FEMA's plan to, quote, instill equity as a foundation of emergency management, unquote, and the Defense Department's mandate to, quote, integrate environment economic justice tools into training. During the Biden presidency, a whole-of-government push injected DEI principles into the bureaucracy. And like the marbling of fat in a good steak, many were inserted as parts of other initiatives and programs, making them doubly difficult to identify and eliminate. This study is a great roadmap. It's time to cut the DEI rut from our government.
Did you know that AM 560 Radio has a full-service digital marketing division called Salem Surround? If you're a business decision maker, listen up. AM 560 listeners are everywhere your potential audience is. So are our incredible targeting capabilities. We localize digital marketing and put it within reach of every business, small and large, in Chicagoland and beyond. Salem Surround offers AI-powered marketing solutions that reach your ideal audience. Whether or not you tap into the proven live, local, and emotional connection that AM 560 Radio brings, Salem Surround offers a total marketing solution to our partners, all-in-one digital solutions that provide targeted local digital and social media ads, Google AdWords management, website services, video strategy, search optimization, and even a management dashboard to offer you total campaign updates and transparency. Your Salem Surround representative is located right here in Chicago. Experience the Salem Surround digital revolution today. Call 847-472-8951. That's 847-472-8951.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, did you, you said you were a big fan of Lost in Space. What was the name of the robot in Lost in Space?
Oh my God, it was Robot. I can't remember.
No, that's good. You got it. You got it right.
It was a
That's
robot.
right. Yeah.
And he didn't have a name.
Bit of a trick question. Well, it was technically.
What was his technical?
Robot B9.
Oh.
But he was called
show
Robot
off.
in the show. Yeah, well, nerd. That's not really showing off. That's sort of a tell of, living a desperate childhood. Yeah, Dr. Smith and Robot, of course, were the seminal characters there. And I guess Will Robinson, too. I get a question for you. By the way, Robot, you really want to go deep? Robot. Oh,
boy.
The actor who played Robot? Because it wasn't an actual robot. I hate to break it to you.
It wasn't B9? Was it real? No. Who played B9, the robot, in Lost in Space?
Bob May.
Oh. Huh. Oh, of course it's Bob May. Sure, it's Bob May.
How about Dr. Smith? You remember him?
Oh.
No?
Who played Dr. Smith?
Jonathan Harris.
Jonathan Harris, okay.
That was a solitary childhood. I got a question for you. Would you pay $12,000, or technically $12,495, to be the personal assistant for a celebrity of your choosing for a day?
Would I pay that?
Pay to be the personal assistant to go along and live their life with them, your favorite rock star, athlete, first lady, maybe. Michelle Obama, I was thinking for you,
go
possibly.
back to East Bank Club.
Favorite volleyball, Karch Karai.
Karch Karai. I already met
I don't
him.
know.
I spent the day with him once.
How much did it
I
cost
spent the day
you?
with Tiger Woods. I spent the day with Karch Karai. Nothing. It was for work when I worked at Channel 5.
But spending the day means following him around, waiting for him to answer questions from the press. I'm talking about like a personal assistant behind the scenes, the whole deal.
Right.
Let me give you an example.
Okay. What do you got?
Gene Simmons. You may remember him from such bands as Kiss.
I used to impersonate him at Walter Payton's 34s.
You have
but I'm
the
not
tongue
going to
for
stick
it?
out. I do. I don't know if I should do this. Should I do it?
It's your tongue.
Well, okay. Oh, but I don't have coffee stain on it. All right, here. Can you? I can.
Are you,
yeah, I'm
are
on
you
camera.
in full makeup, or do you have platforms on like Gene Simmons wore?
Oh, I have the outfit.
The platform boots. Oh, you do.
I have the platform boots. I have the
spiked bustier.
The spiked collar, the spiked, bracelets and all that. God, I wish I could run this by our program director before I stick my tongue out.
You don't happen to have
really long.
You don't happen to have Shannon Tweed in tow, do you? Because I'd consider. I don't know if I go 12.5, but
all right. Wait.
Anyway,
all right. All right. I'm going to do it. If you're watching on our Signature Bank video camera. All right. Ready? Here it is.
Okay.
Oh, it's good. Okay. It's done. Done.
All right.
Tongue's back in my mouth. Gross.
Sure some people on the stream got a thrill. Okay, getting back to the crux of this thing, this proposition, anybody you would pay $12.5 for behind the scenes, and I mean behind the scenes, like this with Gene Simmons. Why a guy worth $500 million needs to extract $12.5 from a fan, I don't know. That's not the point. The point is, would you do it? You will meet Gene, and by the way, he's got a new band called the Gene Simmons Band. Very creative. And apparently he's still out there. He's got nothing else to do. Maybe Shannon wants him out of the house. You will meet Gene and GS band members early in the day, either at the hotel or designated location, to go over the band show's a day schedule. You will be on the GS band team crew for the entire day. You will get a GSB, Gene Simmons Band. You'll get a T-shirt and a hat. You'll get a VIP laminate so you can move around with the VIPs. You'll have a meal with Gene Simmons. You'll arrive and load into the venue with the band. You'll help the band set up for the show. You get to be a roadie, too. You hang out backstage. You'll sit in on sound check. Simmons will bring you on stage during the show and introduce you.
Wow.
Maybe you could do like a Courtney Cox, Bruce Springsteen Dance in the Dark thing with him, too. You'll get a set list signed by Gene Simmons. You can take photos throughout your entire experience. You can bring one guest. You may bring 4 items for Gene's to sign, no instruments. And you get a Gene Simmons bass signed by Gene Simmons.
For $12,495?
Correct.
What a random number. Yeah, I would never. I mean, I do respect him, but I would never spend $12,000. The only person I'd spend $12,000 on to be with all day would be President Trump. Yeah,
that's the question.
Trump.
Oh, you spent $12.5 for Trump to be with the president for a day,
all day. Yep, from the second he wakes up till he goes to sleep. That's the only person I can think of that I'd spend that money on. What about you?
Yeah, that's a good one. That would be a unique experience.
What about you, Dan? Because you have the disposable income, so this could actually be a thing.
Yeah. Boy, that is a tough one. I
wouldn't spend any money on any celebrity or any artist.
I'm not like a starstruck guy. I don't care, but I think it would be like the president is a good one because that would be a real experience. Just the kind of insight that's hard to describe, even if you worked for him, because you're just not. Nobody is, really with him that much. Maybe in any particular day at J.D. Vance's or something, but to go wall to wall with the president of the United States for a day, Trump in particular, that would be kind of interesting, wouldn't it? I was thinking, when I wasn't thinking politics. I was thinking like Jordan, because then I get to play. I mean, first of all, we'd have to play 72 holes.
All right.
So we'd start at Grove 23. We go to Bear Club.
You've put thought into this.
Yeah,
okay?
I mean, like courses that are close, that are all great courses that nobody will let me onto. I have played Grove 23, but it would be different, I think, playing with Jordan. So that, and then we'd smoke cigars. We'd become best friends.
Wow.
We'd start hanging out for just after that too, because he'd take such a liking to me. I was thinking something like that, or like Tiger.
Okay.
Frankly, just for the golf tips, mainly.
Right.
Now, golf tips not from Jordan, golf tips from Tiger.
Right.
Jordan would be the whole experiencing of being Jordan. And, I mean,
Right.
Tiger's sort of in that category, too. Not quite, but... So that's what I was thinking. Not that they've offered, though. That's the...
But a man can dream, right?
Yeah. Small dreams.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning.
At 6:36, we have to return to the triviality of our lives now that we've been thinking about big people. And we'll be joined by Cornell Professor William Jacobson to talk about, what's going on campus, and particularly with respect to Columbia University. We've got a self-deportation after the targeted deportation of that Mahmoud Khalil. And we'll talk about federal judges that are interceding to stop the work of Doge and Tom Homan. That's all at 6:36 with Professor Jacobson.
But first, let's stop into that newsroom once again. Say hello to Mike Scott.
6:32, 27 degrees. Powerful storms tearing through parts of the South and Midwest over the weekend. Blame for dozens of deaths, over 12 in Missouri. President Trump says he'll be speaking to Russian President Vladimir Putin tomorrow about ending the war in Ukraine, telling reporters that a lot of work has been done over the weekend.
The one thing that's stopping that from happening is there's a tiny bit of Russia proper, if you like, that Ukraine occupies in Kursk province. The key moment to watch might be when the Russians squeeze them out of Kursk.
Reporter Dan Sabaw says Russia may not yet be ready to stop fighting because of Ukraine being in Kursk. Volodymyr Zelensky has already accepted a 30-day U.S. ceasefire proposal. President Trump's special envoy to the Middle East says Russia and Ukraine are close to a deal.
The president uses the time frame weeks, and I don't disagree with him. I am really hopeful that we're going to see some real progress here.
Special Envoy Steve Witkoff on CNN's State of the Union. A number of newborn babies have been exposed to measles at a Texas hospital. Health officials say a woman who gave birth at a Lubbock hospital didn't realize she was infected with the disease and was admitted. Parents, babies, and staffers were all exposed. Well, if you're looking for some cooking inspiration on this St. Patrick's Day, it's National Corned Beef and Cabbage Day. The dish commonly associated with today's celebration of all things Irish, but here's a twist. It's not actually a traditional Irish meal. Rather, an Irish-American tradition that became popular in New York City in the 19th century. A male teen was shot and killed in the Lawndale neighborhood this morning. Chicago police are investigating after the shooting took place around 2 a.m. in the 1500 block of South Kildare. 5 are recovering following a 2-vehicle crash in the far northwest suburbs. The accident happened yesterday near North Union Road in Route 176 in Marengo. During whiteout conditions, 3 remain in critical condition. Bulls take on the Jazz tonight. The Blackhawks home. They'll host Seattle tomorrow. Illinois men and women dancing in the NCAA tournament. The Illini men a 6 seed, the women an 8 seed. And once the NCAA slots were filled, the NIT picked Loyola. They'll take on San Jose State on Wednesday. Bradley goes up against North Alabama as well. The news, a service of Quick Delivery Service. Visit quickdelivery.com when you need same-day delivery of your routes. Ground delivery when you need it from safe, licensed professionals. Quickdelivery.com now to schedule your delivery. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
When you need to talk about what's happening today.
Hey, can I talk to you for a second?
There's one place you can come to. The Sean Thompson Show.
Do it! Do it, I dare you. Do it!
Get in the conversation.
Everybody talks about that show. Sounds great, doesn't it?
Weekdays starting at 4.
This is easy.
I like his honesty and his frankness. Every day I listen to him, I learn.
He says what's on his mind. He's real.
Best person out there to listen to. We're combating people who prefer the lie.
He's Sean Thompson, only on AM 560. The Answer.
So how's the separation going? Are you guys able to work things out?
No. I think we're headed for divorce.
That sucks. Gonna be an expensive legal battle?
Well, no, that's one thing we agree on, actually. Arbitration.
Arbitration? Like mediation?
Sort of, but better. We'll have a firm decision.
Oh, that's easier. Who's your arbitrator?
Bert Hochberg.
That attorney at Schiller, DeCanto, and Fleck?
Yeah, senior partner. Comes highly recommended.
Are you facing divorce or a family law issue? Burton S. Hochberg offers arbitration services, a dispute resolution process that will save you time, money, and the complexity of litigation. Let Burton hear and resolve your claims with choices that best suit you and your yours. To discuss, call Bert directly. Or even better, have your attorney call Bert at 773-255-6150. That's 773-255-6150. Again, 773-255-6150. No one knows arbitration like Bert Hochberg. Why go through a difficult divorce? Call Bert at Schiller, Ducanto, and Fleck, Chicago's preeminent family law firm since 1981.
Why do so many companies count on Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating? Consistent high level of quality, an ISO certified and A2LA accredited heat treating, electroplating, fastener sorting, and packaging job shop. Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating meets and exceeds client specifications. Whether a high volume or a small production run, their processes ensure a job well done. Celebrating their 15th anniversary this year, they specialize in metal fasteners and stampings for automotive and other industries. And with a newly expanded sorting department, there are many sorting and packaging options to meet your needs. Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating serves customers in Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, Wisconsin, and Tennessee, with easy access to all forms of transportation from an automated facility in Riverdale, Illinois, just 15 minutes southwest of Chicago. Want consistent quality? Call Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating, 708-849-2050, or visit riverdalePHT.com.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
27 degrees at 6:38. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Discover. Listen, you can skip this ad or you can double your first-year cash back with Discover. Still here? That's a good choice. Discover automatically matches all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year. See terms at discover.com/credit card. Kennedy outbound jammed up into the big airport this morning. Your delays started Harlem all the way out to Manheim Road. Delays on the I coming in right now. Wolf into the old post office. It's 45 minutes from 390 into the OPO. Bishop Ford, accident cleared inbound at 130th. Tri-State roadwork delays southbound between the Ike and Roosevelt Road. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Windy and a little warmer today with some sunshine. High 55. Currently 27 and partly cloudy at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We're talking about the Dems using people as the means to their political ends. That's just a feature of what they do. Everything in pursuit of political ambition, the ends justify the means, and that includes people and their interests, or even lives, as the means to ends, to be used as they see fit in pursuit of power. That also includes the D.C. Press Corps, which serves as their comm shop. You know, they put someone like a Margaret Brennan in the proper costume, doll her up, train her to talk in that serious news person voice. And we're supposed to think that she is a substantive person, very intelligent. She's probing, asking the difficult questions, holding those in power, their feet to the fire, as it were. But of course, as we've seen, as anybody could take notice of if they've listened to what she said and spent any time assessing her program, I mean, it's, boy, she's really something. I mean, and it's the same thing for Welker at Meet the Press, same thing for Clinton Foundation Donor Zero at This Week. They are all as conflicted and beset by their own hypocrisy as Hakeem Jeffries or any of those pro-filibuster Democrats arguing against the continuing resolution. I mean, the parallels are really interesting. Margaret Brennan, who just a few weeks ago, incorrectly, to say the least, argued that the Third Reich was the product of a regime that weaponized free speech. Well, she did that to Marco Rubio, who had to correct her. Marco Rubio was on again, this time to talk about, in part, what's going on college campuses, and specifically the controversy generated by the left over the potential deportation of Mahmoud Khalil, the organizer and negotiator, in quotation marks, of the campus encampment, the pro-Hamas encampment at Columbia University last year. Rubio on again to have to deal with Margaret Brennan, suggesting that foreign nationals have absolute free speech rights in this country.
Is there any evidence of a link to terrorism, or is it just his point of view?
Yeah, they take over. I mean, you should watch the news. These guys take over entire buildings.
They
vandalize colleges.
Intensely.
They shut down colleges.
I'm asking about the specific justification for the revocation of his visa. Was there any evidence or material support for terrorism?
Was the negotiator negotiating on behalf of people that took over a campus, that vandalized buildings? Negotiating over what? That's a crime in and of itself, that they're involved in being the negotiator, the spokesperson, this, that, the other. We don't want it. We don't need these people in our country. We never should have allowed them in the first place. If he had told us, I'm going over there, and I'm going over there to become the spokesperson and one of the leaders of a movement that's going to turn one of your allegedly elite colleges upside down, people can't even go to school, library buildings being vandalized, we never would have let him in. We never would have let him in to begin with. And now that he's doing it and he's here, he's going to leave, and so are others, and we're going to keep doing it.
And just a bit of a flashback to substantiate what Marco Rubio was saying. Here is Mahmoud Khalil being interviewed at the time that the encampment was present, talking about what the pro-Hamas encampers would or would not agree to.
Are you guys going to listen to the university and leave the encampment here?
Of course not. The university is the one who should listen to us. They should listen to their student body, who are demanding to end their investment in the war that's happening in Palestine. Our demands are clear. Our demands are regarding the investment from the Israeli occupation, the companies that are profiting and contributing to the genocide of our people. Again, the university, once again, they are so stubborn in listening to their students. They're treating this matter as a disciplinary matter. They're not treating this as an anti-war movement that actually gathered thousands of students here. That actually sparked thousands of students across the United States.
How far are you all willing to go here on campus?
We're going to go as far as we need to pressure the university to pressure the university to divest from the occupation. This is up to the group, to the leadership of the group, to decide how far they will go. But now it's clear that the students will remain here. They will stay here until they achieve their demands.
Well, I'm really confident, and I'm sick of people calling him a student. He's a 31-year-old man who has been here for 2 years, and he's got a list of demands. Are you kidding me? He wants to destroy Western civilization. He hates Jewish Americans.
31-year-old men can be students, but that the point is that in case Margaret Brennan is confused, that's the sort of thing that has put his green card in jeopardy, which is within the bounds of the law. Mm-hmm. Also, Griff Jenkins reporting for Fox News, obtaining video of a Columbia protester student who is a national from India self-deporting to Canada using the CBP Go app. That DHS sources confirm that her F-1V visa has been revoked. Bye-bye. For more on this, pleased to be joined by Professor William Jacobson, clinical professor of law and director of the Securities Law Clinic at Cornell, founder of LegalInsurrection.com, president of Legal Insurrection Foundation, as well as the Equal Protection Project. Professor Jacobson, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me back.
Well, we're continuing to pound away. I think you share the view that Marco Rubio articulated, that this is not a free speech case, but the D.C. press corps and Senate Judiciary Democrats and, the entirety of the left infrastructure really doing their best to make Mahmoud Khalil a cause célèbre. I don't think that is going to work out to their benefit, but this is what they're committed to.
Yes, and we don't know all of the evidence against him. When they picked him up and they issued I forget what it's called, an order of detention or something like that, or notice of detention, they cited one general provision in the law where the Secretary of State can determine that somebody is presence here is damaging to U.S. Foreign policy. And from that, because they only cited that general provision, all of the press and all of the anti-Israel groups and all of these people are saying, oh, they've got nothing on him, that's it, that's just free speech. But, it is a provision of the law that gives the Secretary of State that power. And we do know that he's been affiliated with, and as you point out, a spokesman for a group that has endorsed terrorism. That's another ground to deport him right there. So he has free speech, but it's subject to the immigration laws. And when you're here on a visa or you're here on a green card, your rights are limited by the immigration laws. So things that he may or may not have done, if he were an American citizen, may not be criminal, but as somebody who's here by permission may violate the immigration laws or at least give the immigration authorities grounds to remove him. So I think this is all premature. I think they're trying to make him into some sort of hero. But we know from what's public about him that he, was the leader or a leader of a group that imposed a reign of terror on Columbia University.
Yeah, but what about, why haven't they charged him with a felony if he was the ringleader who promoted people to damage buildings to the tune of $400 million, they're saying? Why hasn't he been charged with that? Destruction of property or something.
Yeah, that's a good question. Why none of the people who organized the protest, be they at Columbia or elsewhere, who engaged in a criminal conspiracy, have not been criminally charged? That's a really good question. It's not either or. They may have decided that it's easier just to get him out of the country. But, in these cases, sometimes it's both. You can criminally charge somebody. So, yeah, I think it's a wonder why these things have never been looked into. And I'm not talking about organizing, a protest where people carry signs. But there were serious violations of the law, and there were serious violations of the civil rights laws by the way they did this. If this had been done by a Klan group on a campus or any place else, you better believe the FBI would have been all over them and you'd have a lot of criminal prosecutions. But because it's quote-unquote pro-Palestinian, they get a pass on it, apparently.
The president of El Salvador, Bukele, posting on X, today the first 238 members of the Venezuelan criminal organization Tren de Aragua arrived in our country, and they were transferred to the counterterrorism confinement center in El Salvador. That's not going to be a pleasant experience for them from the videos I've seen. But a federal judge attempted to intervene, another federal district court judge attempting to intervene here and force the Trump administration to call back those flights of people being deported. And apparently there's a deal with El Salvador to imprison some of these people that are threats to the public safety, the priority of the administration. What's your take on this federal district court judge and his attempt to interfere with Trump when it comes to immigration policy? And just generally what the federal courts are doing and what the left is doing here, forum shopping to get federal district court judges here and there to stop the termination, the RIF of probationary employees, to stop deportations, to stop just about everything that Trump is trying to do.
Yeah, well, I've been, talking about this, and I know on your show also, ever since the start of the administration, there has been a fierce campaign of lawfare launched against the administration, pre-planned. New York Times had a report last November how they had lined up 800 attorneys at over 40 different organizations to contest every single thing the Trump administration does. And that's what they've been doing. And unfortunately, the federal judiciary, I believe, has gone beyond its boundaries under separation of powers and has halted actions and has opined on actions that really come down to policy that's reserved for the executive branch. And so, yeah, this has been a major problem, and now we're seeing it in the immigration sphere, where Trump is trying to get these TDA gang members out of the country. He issued a proclamation under the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, declaring that organization to be a de facto criminal state, which allows him to then deport them really summarily. And so the judge basically said, hold on a second, this is an act that's normally only used during wartime. I need some time to figure this out. And so the judge put a temporary restraining order on deporting people under that act. Now, if you're a gang member and there's another provision of the law that allows you to be deported, that can go forward, but only under this Alien Enemies Act. If that's the only basis for the government to remove you, he said, hold on for 2 weeks while people brief it and, I figure out what this thing is and how it works here. But he ordered, according to reports, he verbally ordered the government to turn around airplanes with these criminals that were in the air heading to El Salvador. And apparently they didn't, or at least some of the planes didn't. That's a very risky move, ordering an airplane to turn around. How about checking with the air traffic controllers first? Okay. So that was really interesting. Well, the planes landed anyway, and Bukele, if that's how it's pronounced, tweeted on X, oopsie, too late, because they already arrived. And so what this Alien Enemies Act does, it gives the president the power to remove nationals of a foreign enemy or a foreign state that is either declared war or has engaged in incursions into the United States. And so will the courts get to decide that? Is that the so-called political question doctrine that's not for the courts? There's going to be some super interesting things, but this is a really broad power the president would have if it's upheld.
Well, right. But I mean, as you know, the chief executive has essentially plenary power over immigration policy. And so, I mean, these federal district court judges that are offering that are interceding in areas, as you just mentioned, sort of where they're overreaching into powers that belong to the executive branch. Trying to halt everything, having to be overturned by appellate courts, like just happened with some of Trump's DEI proclamations. I mean, I'm fine. Things work through the court system, and it takes more time than you want. I'm fine to a point where it is just obvious they are exceeding their authority. And at some point, unfortunately, it didn't happen last week, as Alito argued in the dissent on TRO. At some point, the Supreme Court is going to have to step in, it seems to me, and wrap some of these federal judges or the entire federal district court system on the knuckles to say, stay in your lane, don't exceed your authority.
Well, that's going to have to happen. I mean, there is a concept that, the federal courts have to have legitimacy and their orders have to be respected. But if you're going to veer into things of war, okay, I mean, the government has sought a stay in the D.C. Circuit Court, and it's supposed to be briefed. I think the briefing, it's on a fast track, will be completed by Wednesday, to stay this judge's order on the Aliens Act. And in that, they say, if this judge can do this, can he also issue an injunction halting drone strikes? What else can he do as it comes to national security? And that's the point, that there are certain judges are not all powerful. There are limitations to their authority. And when you order that the government can't do things that the executive branch deems necessary for national security, where is the boundary? Where does the judge start making? Is the judge now the commander in chief? And that's the question the Supreme Court needs to grapple with, and the courts need to grapple with, because otherwise these courts, we didn't have it with the planes turning around, but it came pretty close. A lot of people are claiming Trump defied the judge's order. Trump's saying, no, I didn't. They were already in international airspace. But the question is, at what point do people say this is ridiculous? These judges are going to get people killed.
Professor William Jacobson, clinical professor of law and director of the Securities Law Clinic at Cornell, founder of LegalInsurrection.com and president of the Legal Insurrection Foundation, as well as the Equal Protection Project. Professor Jacobson, thank you as always.
Thank you.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Welcome back to Ask Hasselus. I'm Weston. What's your question?
How can I find true happiness?
That's a deep, philosophical question that has plagued man for centuries.
Do you know the answer?
Of course. Happiness is the byproduct of a great night's sleep and instant savings.
That's it?
Through Monday at Hasselus, get instant savings of $248 off a new Queen Beauty Rest, Sealy Posturepedic, or Serta Perfect Sleeper. Save even more on a king.
That's the secret?
Get a Beauty Sleep by Beauty Rest Elm Cove B Queen. Others sell it for $12.99, but Hasselus has it for $8.42. And with instant savings, it's only $5.94. Check out instant savings on Sealy Posturepedic and Serta Perfect Sleeper, too.
Ooh, I'm feeling content.
Plus free next day delivery.
Cheerful.
Free haul away of your old mattress.
Jovial.
And employee-free showrooms.
I've achieved maximum merriment.
Instant savings through Monday at Hasselus Mattress. Open 9 to 9. Find a self-service Chicagoland showroom near you at Hasselus.com. Hasselus. Employee-free since 2014.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Tony Dreyfus, founder and president of Metropolis Coffee Company and a proud new customer of Signature Bank. We're a 19-year-old specialty coffee roaster located in the heart of Chicago. Some of your favorite restaurants and cafes serve our coffee. As a small business manufacturer, we understand the importance of working with the right bank, and that's why we made the move to Signature Bank. We were tired of the impersonal service that our large bank had provided. A friend referred us to Signature Bank, and their team was on site to understand our operations firsthand. They provided us the working capital to continue our successful business operations and to fuel our ambitions for innovation and growth. We now have the flexibility to grow at our own pace. That personal touch, you can't find that at a large bank, but we found it at Signature, and we can't thank them enough.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Speaking of ordering airstrikes, as Professor Jacobson mentioned, we talked about airstrikes against the Houthis for interrupting global trade last week, and Trump must have been listening because he ordered them. We'll talk about the airstrikes against the Houthis. We'll talk Hexeth on Iran, as well as where a potential peace deal is in Eastern Europe. That's all part of our weekly conversation with Steve Bucci at 7:07.
But first, let's stop into the newsroom and say good morning once again to Mike Scott.
A Riverdale woman charged in a shooting at a Chicago liquor store. National Weather Service says 3 tornadoes hit the Chicago area, and the Bulls visit the Jazz tonight. WIND Chicago News Time, 7.
40 deaths in 7 states. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. After storms full of tornadoes ripped across the South and Midwest over the weekend, this man in Alabama says he's lucky he got out of his house just in time.
A few minutes after we left and got up there that it hit, and it just destroyed it.
Fox Weather's Robert Ray is in Tylertown, Mississippi.
It's been a weekend of weather hell, tornadoes that have ripped apart so many communities as the frost sits here this morning on this debris field, and it is nasty. Multiple people have died here in Tylertown, and National Weather Service is assessing as people are mourning the death of loved ones and trying to understand what just happened with the amount of twisters that moved through so many communities.
President Trump keeps pushing for an end to the war in Ukraine, which has agreed to a ceasefire, but Russia has not yet.
Tomorrow, President Trump's going to be looking for some concessions from Russia on his call with Putin.
A lot of work's been done over the weekend.
It's still not clear if Putin is moving toward a ceasefire or if this is a stall tactic, especially after a European intelligence service uncovered a document prepared for the Kremlin by a group close to the FSB, reportedly, laying out ways that Putin should delay while continuing to dismantle Ukraine.
Fox's Jackie Heinrich at the White House, where after midnight, President Trump posted on Truth Social some Biden pardons are null and void, claiming they were signed by AutoPen and the president didn't even know about them at the time. Those were preemptive pardons to shield members of the House committee from Trump retribution after they had investigated the president after the January 6th Capitol riot. President Trump also thanks El Salvador for accepting deported illegal immigrants.
I can tell you this, these were bad people. That was a bad group of as I say, hombres.
Now, the deportations were challenged in court. A federal judge ordered them halted, but the Trump administration ignored that, saying the planes were already in international airspace. America's listening to Fox News.
7:02, 27 degrees. Sunrise in Chicago. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Scott. A male teen shot and killed in the Lawndale neighborhood this morning. Chicago police say Area 4 detectives are investigating. There is no one in custody. 5 are hurt following a 2-vehicle crash in the northwest suburbs. Authorities say the accident happened yesterday morning near North Union Road and Route 176 in Marengo. While roads were covered in snow during whiteout conditions, this morning 3 remain in critical condition. The National Weather Service confirms at least 4 tornadoes struck the Chicago area. Storms swept through the area Friday night into early Saturday morning. A man is charged with the killing of the CEO and president of a trucking company in Crestwood. Joseph Suclia was charged Saturday with first-degree murder in the death of Dane Kateski. Fire crews found the body of Kateski on the second floor of his burning trucking company March 5. An autopsy later determined the death was a homicide. Suclia was later arrested in Holland, Michigan, and then extradited back to Crestwood on Friday. Chicago area native Matt Richtman won the 40th annual Los Angeles Marathon Sunday, becoming the first American man to take the title in 31 years, a personal best. 2 hours, 7 minutes, 56 seconds. It was Richtman's second attempt at the marathon distance.
Nice to see it all the training and all the miles and, everything behind the scenes all to pay off today.
The former Canelan High School All-Stater and All-American in cross country went to Montana State. It was an All-American there in 2022-23. The Bulls visit the Jazz tonight. Fighting Illini dancing in the NCAA tournament. The men are a 6 seed. The women are an 8 seed. Auburn is the number 1 overall seed and tops the South region. Jamison Ty on the win as the Cubs beat the Yomiuri Giants in exhibition play at the Tokyo Dome. White Sox beat Texas 7-6. The news a service of Valdecas Windows for the discerning homeowner looking for high quality and professional level window replacement service. Contact Valdecas Windows, your award-winning Platinum Elite Pella certified contractor. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
When you need to talk about what's happening today.
Hey, can I talk to you for a second?
There's one place you can come to. The Sean Thompson Show.
Do it! Do it, I dare you. Do it!
Get in the conversation.
Everybody talks about that show. Sounds great, doesn't it?
Weekdays starting at 4.
This is easy.
I like his honesty and his frankness. Every day I listen to him, I learn.
He says what's on his mind. He's real.
Best person out there to listen to.
We're combating people who prefer the lie.
He's Sean Thompson, only on AM 560. The Answer.
I should have done it sooner. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and that's what a number of people say to me when they come up and talk to me about QC Kinetics. Why did I wait so long? So let me ask you a question to see if whether or not you're a good candidate for QC Kinetics. Do you have trouble sleeping, walking, day-to-day movement? Do you want to avoid surgery and all the pain, the long recovery, and the uncertainty that comes with it? Do you miss doing things like golfing, jogging, playing pickleball? Well, if you answered yes to any of these questions, I bet you're a great candidate. So please don't wait. Contact our good friends at QC Kinetics right now and ask for your free consultation. Learn how the latest advances in regenerative medicine can help you and give you lasting pain relief with no drugs, no surgery, no downtime. Saturday appointments available. Call 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. Again, 312-809-5955.
You've likely heard about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you'd want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free too, with their 3-week quick start for just $19.95. An easy, affordable way to see how it could literally change your life. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally, developed by doctors. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily. It helps reduce or eliminate pain. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. Trying it couldn't be easier with their 3-week quick start for only $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. And it just takes a phone call. 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Wherever you're having pain, every day you feel better is a day you live better. Try Relief Factor's 3-week quick start today. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Virago is fending off viruses and making America healthy again.
Hi, my name is Dr. Michael Huber. I'm one of the co-founders of Virago, the immune enhancement cocktail. Virago contains 23 natural ingredients that work synergistically to boost your immune system. Virago's natural ingredients also protect your heart, your brain, and your liver through its anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. Virago also promotes healthy gum health. So go to myvirago.com, that's MYVIROGO.com, and use promo code IMMUNE to get 30% off. And remember, Maha starts with Virago.
Boost your immune system with Virago. Order your bottle today. Visit myvirago.com. That's myvirago.com.
And use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%.
That's myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Virago and Maha, making America healthy again.
7:08 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. A service of Fox Valley Coins. Bring your gold or silver in store today. Each item priced right in front of you. The coins never leave your sight. Receive cash or check right on the spot. FoxValleyCoins.com. Kennedy 36 O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Kennedy outbound 50 minutes to the big airport. You're jammed up near Mannheim this morning. Ike on the inbound side is right now at 75 minutes from 390 into the old post office. Bishop Ford stop and go into the Ryan merge. Tri-State jammed in the roadwork zone southbound between the Ike and Roosevelt Road. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Becoming windy and warmer, a little bit of sunshine today. High today 55, partly cloudy, breezy this evening, and the low at 43. Times of clouds and sun, a warmer day tomorrow, breezy for the afternoon, the high at 67. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
27 degrees at O'Hare, next news 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Last week we mentioned this. One of the big guys, many failures in geopolitics, was allowing proxies for the mullahs in Iran to interrupt global shipping. Talking about the Houthis, a designated terrorist organization, again, Iran proxy, in Yemen, disrupting, extending the time of delivery of as much as 25% of global trade that includes items that are shipped. Well, Trump has taken notice of that, moved his attention to the Houthis, announcing Saturday that he was taking decisive and powerful action against them. Attacks on American vessels will not be tolerated. We will use overwhelming lethal force until we have achieved our objective. To all Houthi terrorists, your time is up, and your attacks must stop starting today. So another instance of FAFO. Pete Hegseth, SecDef, was on with Bartiromo talking about the larger issue of Iran and wherever Iran actually is in terms of its potential to possess a nuclear weapon, that needs to be derailed. Hegseth saying this.
Nobody wants a military option as it pertains to Iran. So he is through maximum pressure, just as he did in his first administration. Maximum pressure bankrupt the Iranians. Well, under Joe Biden, what happened? They took off that maximum pressure, and groups like the Houthis were awash in cash. Then they got arrogant, started shooting at our ships. We look weak. Not anymore. Not under President Trump. That will stop. The Houthis shooting at our ships will stop. Iran must get that clear message and negotiate the end of their pursuit for nuclear weapons, because, as I mentioned, President Trump has said clearly they will not get a bomb.
Well, we're still not pen pals because the mullahs have not responded to the letter that Trump fired off. But for more on where we are at, Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official. Now a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, thanks for joining us.
It's always my pleasure to be on the show. Thank you for having me.
So the strikes against the Houthis, it's about time. I mean, I know he hasn't been in office that long, but it's certainly warranted, I would argue. And what does that mean? What sort of message does that send to Iran on the larger issue of nuclearization?
Well, I think it's another part of the signaling to Iran that, hey, pay attention. Trump is going to act differently than the Biden administration did, and you need to adjust your behavior accordingly. And you really should tell all your buddies, proxies, whatever you want to call them, that they need to behave differently as well, or a price will be paid.
Well, I mean, what is your threat assessment on Iran at present? Because the administration is suggesting that Iran has been weakened, which there's some evidence to support that. The getting out after the Houthis, after the hammering that Hezbollah has taken, Hamas has taken. But what is exactly, as I said, your threat assessment, and what should be done in advance of whatever understanding we have of where Iran's nuclear program is?
Well, they're greatly degraded from what they were before Israel started taking them to task. Both inside Iran itself, their air defenses are greatly degraded. But one of Iran's big threats before was, hey, you mess with us, we're going to turn loose our proxies, and you're going to pay an enormous price for it. Well, the proxies, the biggest ones are Hezbollah and Hamas, or were, and they are not destroyed yet. They're still there. They can still do things, but nothing like they could do before Israel started putting the wood to them. And they're not gone, but they're not as big a threat as they were before. Now, again, when you do this, it's, with the Houthis have taken a pretty good beating, both from the Israelis and from the United States, and they're still playing this game because they don't really care. They'll keep fighting, even if, down to the last, man, woman, or child that they can get to push some buttons. I think we need to focus more directly on Iran and get Iran to turn these characters off. Or we could just keep spanking them ourselves. That is an option, but it's going to, we're using up more of our munitions to do this. We need to. We should keep doing it, but we do need to pay attention, make sure we're not just bleeding off our own stocks at a time when maybe one of these bigger adversaries, China, Russia, might say, well, okay, looks like they're down a bit. Let's take our shot. All that needs to be balanced, and I think our executive branch right now is paying attention to it, realizes you can't just wag your finger at somebody and go no, and think they're actually going to behave.
I mean, I don't know if. I mean, Hegseth was asked this by Bartiromo. How close is Iran actually to a functioning nuclear weapon? Because we've been hearing they're weeks away for years. And Hegseth wouldn't go into any detail. He says it's classified, so forth. Understand that to a certain extent, but in terms of giving the American people a clear a picture as possible here, because when you continue to tell us that the threat is right around the corner, and it's been right around the corner for years and years and years on end, people get a little inured to that, and it starts to be credible.
Yeah, you're right. I do think they're closer than they've been in the past. But remember, when we say that, that doesn't mean they're suddenly in a week going to have the same kind of capabilities that Russia or China have. Right now, that even the open source stuff, the UN says, look, they've got enough material that in another couple of weeks they could then have that material at a point where it could be used to make, I think I read, 7 devices. Now, 7 devices doesn't mean a high-speed, warhead device that could go on top of one of their ballistic missiles and get to a target and actually hit it. That stuff, you're getting into different levels of engineering. Mostly we've been focusing on, can they produce something that when you set it off, it makes the big boom and the mushroom cloud? That doesn't mean they have the means to deliver it yet. Just having a missile and having a bomb doesn't mean it's going to work when they shoot it at the target. That's a whole nother layer of engineering that the Iranians have been trying to get Russians and the North Koreans to help them. The North Koreans are not to be trite, but they're not rocket scientists when it comes to their own ballistic missiles. They mostly use the ocean when they shoot them. So it's all of this. We're not at the edge of oblivion here or the apocalypse by any means. I couldn't put a weeks or months on it, Dan. I just that's not my specialty. But we need to realistically look at this. It's a threat. It's one we need to address, and we need to continue to address it, not sit back and say, we got a couple of months. That's a silly attitude.
But right. I mean, I agree with taking a hard line, of course. But by the same token, sort of what you were intimating, if Russia and China wanted to give the Iranians the technology, it could have already been done. They don't want to for an obvious reason, and maybe too much focus on Iran gets us off of what we need to do to minimize the threats posed by Russia and China, particularly together.
Yeah, we got to watch these guys. Even if these folks are not all colluding with their plans and synchronizing their plans, they're at least watching each other and looking for opportunities that they can exploit. We have to be, one step ahead on that multi-dimensional chessboard and say, okay, look, if this happens, here's the other potential consequences of us allowing that to occur. And I think we have the right team now to do that. Before, I did not have that level of confidence. The Secretary of Defense was weak. The Secretary of State seemed much more comfortable giving bad guys money than spanking them. And obviously the president was, not competent. So, we don't have any of those situations now. So I'm a little more comfortable as to what's going on.
Now, tomorrow, President Trump is scheduled to speak with Vladimir Putin to talk about the potential 30-day ceasefire to pave the way for, peace negotiations. Where does it stand right now between, Zelensky and Putin?
Well, it appears Zelensky's ready to make a deal. I think he realized he's not in a position to dictate to America how America's going to help him do that. But he seems to be a bit more malleable. Now, Putin gave some positive signals, and then he bounced off and said, well, we're not really getting enough from this. So he's, I think, going to try and play a little hardball, see what he can get away with. That's his modus operandi all the time. And I think this call tomorrow is going to be very, very crucial. What comes out of that is going to set the tone as we go forward. If he tries to bully Trump, that's not going to work for him. Trump doesn't respond well to people not being cooperative with what he thinks is a good idea. And, Putin may try that. I'm hoping Putin will read the signals because he is a smart person. He's an evil guy, but he's smart. I'm hoping he will pick up the signals and say, let me get what I can, but not push this envelope too far, because then I may lose a lot more than I want to.
Well, right. And the other thing that could frustrate Trump, too, is if Putin tried to buy time, because, Trump obviously has a sense of urgency about this in a way that Putin doesn't. And that may upset Trump even more than if he tries to overreach to get to get more than Trump and Zelensky, for that matter, are otherwise willing to give, is if he tries to, four corner him on this process. Because Trump wants to move. He wants to spend as little political capital on this as possible and get something done.
Exactly right. So it's going to fall into Putin's hands how he decides to play it. I really hope he doesn't misread Trump and try and get away with something, or whether it's to get terrain or stuff, or to for more time. But I'm with you. Trump has already felt like he's used up a lot more time on this than he should have, and he's really, really ready to get all these characters in the room, come up with something, and move on to the next issue.
Speaking of America's enemies, this was interesting and rather enjoyable, actually. Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, throwing the South African ambassador to the United States out of the country, obviously with the agreement of the president, basically saying that he is a race-baiting politician who hates America, he hates Trump, we have nothing to discuss with him, so he is persona non grata. Get the first plane back to Joburg. How about that?
Yeah, that's the way the Secretary of State can play hardball. Any ambassador that gets sent to a country, you don't have to accept them. And if they do something you don't like, you can send them on their way. That's the normal way diplomacy is done. And sometimes ambassadors think they're a little more of a deal than they are. And, they're not just the representatives of their country, but they can spew their own personal opinions and attack the politicians of the host country. And this is not just an American thing. This is anywhere. We've had ambassadors thrown out of countries because they get too mouthy.
Yeah,
and
right.
That's a big step for a country because, everybody wants to be friends with America. But, this guy way pushed his limits. He seems to be a pretty reprehensible character. So good on Secretary Rubio. He said, we don't have to put up with this nonsense. Send him home.
I wanted to get this is a bit below the fold, but perhaps you have a view on this. The Wall Street Journal thought it important enough to weigh in on the Office of Net Assessment within the Pentagon that is being shuttered reportedly by the Trump administration. And they argue that, even though this is an office within the Pentagon that very few people have ever heard of who don't work in defense and national security issues, that this 50-year-old agency actually was crucial in strategic thinking and war planning. They offer a lot of credit to its longtime director, Andrew Marshall, for perceiving how weak the Soviet Union was long before many understood it, spotting the threat that was percolating in China while the U.S. was still focused on fighting in the Middle East and so forth, that it was forward-thinking and it's a good strategic office within the Pentagon, and maybe there needs to be a personnel change or a reorientation, but its track record warrants maintaining the agency in some form. Do you have any view on this?
The Office of Net Assessments has been an enormous positive feature in the Pentagon since it was formed. It's like the internal think tank of the Pentagon. And they have thought way out in the future when, a lot of military folks, to be honest with you, and I'm one, have a pretty much I got to kill the target right in front of me. That's what I'm focused on. It's a trend and a sort of a methodology for a lot of us in the military, and we need somebody to stretch us sometimes to think beyond that, because otherwise you get caught short. You're surprised by things. The Office of Net Assessment has never been a negative in my mind. It's a very small office. It's not like it's sucking up massive amounts of resources, but they find the right people. They come up with plans and views that others maybe don't have. They're not, they don't dictate to anybody, but it allows the secretary and the chairman and even the services to have that longer view. I agree. I don't know who's in charge of it right now since Andy Marshall died, but if they need to change some personnel, that's fine. Because I don't know what has happened under Obama and under Biden, but closing it, I don't know. I think that they ought to take another look at that. If they need to adjust it, fine. But we need somebody thinking long term in the Pentagon, and sometimes not being a part of one of the major structures within it is a good idea.
Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as Army Special Forces officer, top Pentagon official, now a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, thank you.
It's always my pleasure, guys. We look forward to talking to you next week.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Have you seen our energy bill? You'd think Elon used our furnace to power his rocket ships.
Very funny, babe. That furnace is 20 years old and probably hasn't been cleaned in 10.
I'll have Air Right Heating and Cooling check it out. They've seen it all. Plus, there's still time to take advantage of federal rebates. They even give AM 560 listeners $56 off any service.
Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at air-rite.com. That's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling, doing it right since 1959.
So, how's the separation going? Are you guys able to work things out?
No. I think we're headed for divorce.
That sucks. Going to be an expensive legal battle?
Well, no, that's one thing we agree on, actually. Arbitration.
Arbitration? Like mediation?
Sort of, but better. We'll have a firm decision.
Oh, that's easier. Who's your arbitrator?
Bert Hochberg.
That attorney at Schiller, DeCanto, and Fleck?
Yeah, senior partner. Comes highly recommended.
Are you facing divorce or a family law issue? Burton S. Hochberg offers arbitration services, a dispute resolution process that will save you time, money, and the complexity of litigation. Let Burton hear and resolve your claims with choices that best suit you and yours. To discuss, call Bert directly. Or even better, have your attorney call Bert at 773-255-6150. That's 773-255-6150. Again, 773-255-6150. No one knows arbitration like Bert Hochberg. Why go through a difficult divorce? Call Bert at Schiller, DeCanto, and Fleck, Chicago's preeminent family law firm since 1981.
MyPillow is excited to announce that they're extending the mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save $40 on the new spring MyPillow bed sheets, any size and any color. Save 30% on their brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one Mike has worn every day for over 20 years. They come in men's and women's, and they're made right here in the USA. Get the 6-piece bath or kitchen towel sets for only $29.98. The initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. And the best-selling standard MyPillow just $14.98. To take advantage of the Mega Sale 2.0, go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201. But that's not all. You'll get free shipping on orders over $75. Once again, call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY, or visit MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY.
We're definitely going to be late to the concert. I feel like we should be there by now.
I'm just taking a little detour. I got to fill up my gas tank, and I know this place a couple towns over where the gas is cheaper.
Are you serious? We're going to be late for the concert because you're driving out of the way for cheaper gas? Just use Upside.
What's Upside?
Upside is the free cashback app that gets you real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait, I can get cash back just for buying the gas I need anyway?
Yes, I use it all the time, and I've made around $200. Now pull over so you can download the Upside app before we miss the concert.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use
promo code WOW25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank, PayPal, or as a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code WOW25 for 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code WOW25 for 25 cents per gallon bonus. That's code WOW25.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Police officers' least favorite day of the year, St. Patrick's Day. Although I wonder if Lori Lightfoot's wandering around in her kilt again. That's an indelible picture in Chicago history. We'll talk law and order and all the disordered legislation being proposed in Springfield on the topic of public safety with former Riverside Police Chief Tom Whitesell at 7:37.
Yeah, anti-police legislation. But now let's head into the newsroom. Check in on this St. Patrick's Day with Mike Scott.
27 degrees. Skies are clear at 7:32. Congo's government says it will participate in peace talks in Angola with the Rwandan-backed M23 rebel group that has captured some key areas of Congo's mineral-rich east. North Macedonia's leaders are vowing to hold those responsible to account after a nightclub fire in an eastern town left 59 dead and 155 injured. People as young as 16 are among the dead. Cleanup and recovery efforts are continuing today after powerful storms marched across parts of the South and Midwest, killing dozens over the weekend. The U.S. under President Donald Trump has launched a new campaign of intense airstrikes against Yemen's Houthi rebels. Mike Waltz telling Fox News Sunday the military launched devastating strikes against the Iranian-backed group.
We hit the Houthi leadership, killing several of their key leaders last night, their infrastructure, the missiles.
The Houthi rebels had targeted over 100 merchant vessels. Meantime, the president thinks there's a good chance the U.S. can bring the war in Ukraine to an end.
Doing pretty well, I think, with Russia. We'll see if we have something to announce maybe by Tuesday. I'll be speaking to President Putin on Tuesday.
The president telling reporters on Air Force One he'll sit down with the Russian president. A male teen shot and killed in the Lawndale neighborhood this morning. Chicago police tell us the shooting took place around 2 a.m. in the 1500 block of South Kildare. There is no one in custody. The National Weather Service confirms at least 4 tornadoes hit the Chicago area. Severe storms swept through the region Friday night into early Saturday morning. And 3 were wounded following a shooting on the west side. Police say 2 men and a 16-year-old were standing outside of a home yesterday in the 4200 block of West Crystal when they were shot. No one is in custody. Police continue investigating. Bulls visit the Jazz later on tonight. Illinois dancing in the NCAA tournament, earning a 6th seed. Fighting Illini take on either Xavier or Texas in the first round. Friday, the Illini women take on Creighton on Saturday. Cubs beat the Yomiuri Giants in exhibition play at the Tokyo Dome, while the White Sox beat Texas in spring ball 7-6. The news, a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. If you've been getting high quotes for dental implants with medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% on average. See if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher says there will be growing pains.
When you cut your wasteful spending, look at it in your own life. If you go from spending like a drunken sailor to putting yourself on a budget, it's going to hurt. You're used to all the things you got when you were spending like a drunken sailor. But all of this is the right thing to do. You know it, and I know it.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
If you're getting divorced, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Marcy, 38, homemaker, no income, with 3 kids under 10, recently filed for divorce. Marcy's soon-to-be ex needed the equity out of their marital home to purchase a new home, so Marcy called Team Hochberg after being told by other lenders she couldn't refinance until the divorce was final. Wrong. I helped Marcy refinance with her parents co-signing because she didn't have a job and wasn't receiving child or spousal support. Let's review. Marcy needed to refinance her soon-to-be ex off the mortgage and give him half the home's equity to buy a home and was told it couldn't be done. And I helped Marcy refinance. If you're getting divorced and want mortgage advice from a lender who can empathize with your situation, give us a call now at 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. That's 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061.
Listen every Sunday morning at 6 for Why It Matters. Why It Matters takes a lighthearted approach to things that deeply matter by utilizing a casual, interactive talk show format. Sharing some wisdom and creating some laughter. To this end, to get people thinking about what matters and why it matters. Sunday morning at 6 on AM 560. The Answer. Carl Jackson stands up for the America he loves on the Carl Jackson Podcast.
Donald Trump has the authority as the head of the executive branch to fire and to stop payments within the executive branch. Appropriating funds is one thing. Finding corruption and theft is another. We wanted Trump to get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse. Did we know that it was going to be this bad? No.
Subscribe to the Carl Jackson Podcast today on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Rumble, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
7:38. Let's get an update on the roads. In our Team Hochberg Traffic Center, Kennedy inbound 45, O'Hare into the Burn Circle interchange. Accident on the inbound ice between 17th and Independence. It's an hour and 20 in from 390 into the old post office. Jam-ups on the Reagan I-88 eastbound between Roosevelt and the Tri-State. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast, windy and warmer, sunshine, high near 55. In our QC Kinetics Weather Center, 27 at O'Hare, 29 at Midway. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. It is St. Patty's Day.
Yeah, happy St. Patrick's Day. Yeah.
I guess. I don't. I don't understand. I never have understood. I don't want to go too far down a rabbit hole, but I don't understand adults who dress up.
Oh, I know.
I just don't get it. I really don't. Anyway, I'm no fun. But I did want to offer this. You know, there's been this long-standing mystery about the Crichton leprechaun. Do you remember this? About, I don't know, 15 or 20 years ago, this story went viral, what viral looked like back in those days. People were talking about it. It's like almost like the Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
The Crichton leprechaun in the Crichton neighborhood in Mobile, Alabama. And I think I may have solved it. I had forgotten about it, and I think I may have solved it. And I posted on X to see if the good people of Mobile think this person fits the description. But just so you know the backstory on this St. Patrick's Day, here it is from a local network affiliate in Mobile.
Well, just in time for St. Patrick's Day, crowds are coming by the dozens to get an up-close view at what some say is a piece of Irish folklore.
Some people in the Crichton area of Mobile say a leprechaun is taking up residence in their neighborhood.
What?
A leprechaun. NBC 15's Brian Johnson has more.
Curiosity leads to large crowds in Mobile's Crichton community. Many of you bring binoculars, camcorders, even camera phones to take pictures.
To me, it look like a leprechaun to me. All I gotta do is look up in the tree. Who else seen the leprechaun? Say yeah!
What?
Eyewitnesses say the leprechaun only comes out at night. If you shine a light in its direction, it suddenly disappears. This amateur sketch resembles what many of you say the leprechaun looks like. Others find it hard to believe and have come up with their own theories and explanations for the image.
My theory is it's casting a shadow from the other limb.
Could be a crackhead that got hold to the wrong stuff, and it told him to get up in a tree and play a leprechaun.
We're going to get down to the bottom of this. Yeah, it's still on there, guy. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, man.
This guy helping to direct traffic says he's prepared for his encounter with the leprechaun. He's suited up from head to toe.
This wars off spells right here. This is a special leprechaun flute, which has been passed down from thousands of years ago from my great-great-grandfather who was Irish. And I just came to help out.
Others just came to get lucky in hopes a pot of gold may be buried under this tree.
I'm going to run a backhoe and uproot that tree. I want to know where the gold is. I want the gold. Give me the gold. I want the gold.
This is Brian Johnson, NBC 15 News.
Yeah, thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
If you look at the artist's rendering of the eyewitness account of the Crichton Leprechaun...
Does it look like the character in Lucky Charms cereal?
No, it looks eerily similar to Lori Lightfoot when she dressed up as a leprechaun and went to the Plumbers Hall event a couple years back, including the little fedora she had on. She also sort of looks like a crackhead who got some of the wrong stuff. So I'm just saying.
Did you tweet this story out? Because I want to see the artist rendition. Yes,
yeah, the artist rendition. It's quite something. And I'm just saying, I'm just trying to help. Because as far as I know, the Crichton Leprechaun mystery has never been solved, and the gold has never been found. And maybe, just saying. Tom Weitzel is a retired chief of police of Riverside. Now it's time to get a little bit more sober on this St. Patrick's Day, something that will be two of the few in Chicago. I could say that. Tom Weitzel joins us now. Tom, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy.
So St. Patrick's Day, I saw you tweeted a favorite day of law enforcement officers.
Yeah, honestly, they hate working St. Patrick's Day, no matter where you're at. It's really a day that starts at 7 a.m. in the morning, and when it's over the weekend, you're assigned to work it. Make no mistake, everyone works those events, and they even pull people out of plain clothes and put them on the street. And all you deal with all day long are drunks, fights, disturbances, suburbanites, kids coming downtown for sure, in droves, usually on trains, and it's just complete chaos. And the instructions from most of the supervisors are really like, just get rid of them. Like, don't make arrests. Just disperse them, take their alcohol, and tell them to move on. That's the whole strategy.
Yeah, I think maybe we need to do like a thing in Chicago where you have like a sort of an all-inclusive holiday. So we have like Mexican Independence Day and St. Patrick's Day and the Puerto Rican Day Parade, and I don't know, maybe Casimir Pulaski Day too, although that's actually honoring something.
Yeah.
And it's more punchkis than it is alcohol. So I don't know if that's, but I don't know, something where we just have all of the big days combined into one, and we have a big mob fight at Grant Park or something to commemorate it.
Yeah, it's a terrible. Those events are terrible. But every year there's officers hurt. Now, it might be not something you see flashed all over the news, but the thing is, you have several officers that are hurt during those events, and what does that do? They're off duty. They're on workman's comp. I mean, it just keeps going on and on and on.
Yeah.
Well, I just don't know why they don't make arrests. I mean, same with the Gay Pride Parade. People are hammered out of their minds. You can see them walking down the street. They can barely walk, and why just not take them into custody?
Yeah, that's a really good question, but really the answer to that is only take in the worst, and that's broadcast to the officers at roll call, or, you meet out on the street if you're assigned a block area, and they're like, hey, only take in the worst, because when we have to take in the worst, we're putting people off the road. We're having to call the paddy wagons. We have to take them in. So just get rid of these kids and take their alcohol and tell them to get lost. In some cases, they'll cite them for underage drinking, under the city ordinance or a village ordinance. But that's pretty rare, too, because honestly, Amy, that means nothing. It's like getting a parking ticket. It's really a waste of time.
Maybe you could do like an intergovernmental agreement with the federal government and perhaps the El Salvadoran government to either send them to Gitmo or El Salvador.
You're right.
I mean, just a thought. All right, let's talk about a couple of serious matters, some of which we've highlighted on the show, but get law enforcement perspective on it. Some of the legislation that's bouncing around among the noblemen and magistrates in Springfield that seems a bit curious if you're interested in promoting public safety. We talked about this one last week. I don't really understand. I mean, it's just bizarre. Legislation that would reduce the distance that a convicted and registered sex offender would have to stay from a school. Now, I don't know if 500 feet has any sort of magical power, but I also don't know why someone would spend any time legislatively trying to reduce that distance.
Yeah, that is crazy. I think they want to reduce it to 250. I don't know the theory behind that, but I know that when we used to arrest individuals that would do that, usually they would rent apartments too close to schools. For example, in Riverside, the state's attorneys used to make us go out with a laser measure, and we had to measure the front door of that apartment complex to the property line of the grade school or high school, say, for example, when I was in Riverside. And if it was outside that, they were okay. If it was 499, they got arrested. So they were very precise on what to do with that. And now all of a sudden they want to put it to 250. I heard a comment the other day from someone that said, well, they're putting too many sexually convicted offenders into the same buildings because of the distances from parks and schools. And I'm like, okay, so that's okay. That's the reason behind this. You want to allow convicted sex offenders to live closer to make it easier for them to find somewhere to live?
Yeah, I like the idea of aggregating them, too. That seems like an interesting local problem. If you have an apartment complex that has a disproportionate number of registered sex offenders, whatever that number is, the whole thing seems bizarre to me, particularly since we know about the recidivism rates with respect to sex offenders.
Right, and they would, these sex offenders, I could tell you, they would hit, most of them when we came in contact with, they weren't employed, to tell you the truth, and they would walk around during the day. And, I had a community, just for my community, we had 5 grade schools in a suburban and a high school. You couldn't walk, 5 or 6 blocks and you're at a park or you're at a school. Right. So was it restrictive? Yeah, it was restrictive, but it was meant to be. Like, you don't want them living within that distance and to be able to walk to the park or the playgrounds. I mean, I don't know what the theory is of that.
What about House Bill 2764 that would give all prisoners, even those sentenced to life in prison for murder or rape, the opportunity to apply for parole after 35 consecutive years of imprisonment?
Yeah, that's just a way to empty. That's just a way to empty the prisons and save money. And those are initiatives by prison groups that want to say that, okay, you've served your time. You're probably older. You went in your early 20s. You're now in your mid 50s, maybe to 60s. You should be able to go, even though apply, even though you're convicted and your sentence was either forever or your sentence was 80 years, whatever it might be. And this is a way for them to alleviate the prison population, and they think give people a second chance, which I don't agree with. I mean, then why have these sentences in the first place? And one thing they never mention ever, and you tell me if you've heard it, they don't ever mention the victims or their families. Like they never talk about victims or families in these bills ever.
Right, and not to mention the promise that was made to those victims and families, family of a murder victim, that this person will never see the light of day again. And then here we have legislators come in to obviate that promise. Yeah, it's never. Well, this is a General Assembly. This is a a political ruling class that is not oriented towards victims of crimes. That's pretty obvious. What's your view on, now I don't know if this is going anywhere, but, it's always a process. Things take some time, but the left is always pushing them. And I'm talking about the decriminalization of prostitution, which, move to decriminalization, and we'll get to legalization, but only for people that need prostitutes for medicinal reasons, and then we'll go to full prostitution. So what about decriminalizing prostitution? How would that be?
I think that's ridiculous. It's not a victimless crime. And all right, say you couple the prostitution statute that they proposed that they want to get passed, and now they want to reduce sex offenders to 250 feet of schools and parks. I mean, where are we going with this? What are the purposes of these types of current statutes that make it illegal? To say that, you're absolutely right. They're going to go down if this proposed legislation for the prostitution passes. There's going to be more following. It's going to be getting to a location here in Illinois that prostitution is completely legal. That's the goal. That's the end goal.
No, there's no question. It's the goal. You need the revenue. You set up brothels next to the marijuana dispensaries, next to the abortion clinics, next to the currency exchanges, next to the video poker halls. Now where you're really cooking with fire. Something else I wanted to get to, the legalization of beating up police officers. That seems a bit counterintuitive.
Yeah, that's probably the worst piece of legislation I've ever seen. I served on the Illinois Chiefs Association Legislative Committee 15 years, and they used to always come to the Police and Sheriff's Association and say, hey, we're thinking about proposing this legislation. What do you think? Could you support it? They don't do that anymore. It just shows you the disrespect they have for law enforcement. And I can't believe that the Representative Davis would not only propose that, have carve-outs for all the other exceptions that are in there, firefighters, paramedics, correctional officers. Her husband happens to be a Chicago firefighter. And my thing was, maybe it's going nowhere. It got put into rules, but it got two sponsors. I think
Kelly Cassidy and Marcus Evans.
Yeah. I mean, so it might not go away, but what kind of mindset would one of our elected officials in Springfield have that they would even propose this legislation, that their mind would process that it be legal, a legal defense to batter police officers, because every defendant would come to court with their attorney and say that they had a legal right to batter the officer. You would be having people lined up with doctor's notes out the door. And
now they will.
I don't know. It's crazy.
They will say that this is. You believed you were having a mental health episode when you battered a police officer, and you have a documented mental illness. But even and you have a documented mental illness is really opens Pandora's box on this.
And isn't that a issue for the judge or the courts? Isn't that they should not take the arrest power away? That's for a court to decide.
Exactly. There's no need for the legislation if these one-off incidents where they would actually happen. Then that's exactly right. You'd have expert testimony, and it would be decided on a case-by-case basis. This grants sort of a blanket defense, and it incentivizes. And once people learn about it, it incentivizes this as a crutch for people who are just violent. And I mean, there's no question. You're right about that. There's no question. It's crazy. But
well, I mean, read it. They'd legalize physical attacks of police officers if the officer should have reasonably known the assailant was having a mental health episode. This is just part of defunding police, because who's going to want to sign up to be a police officer in Illinois?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. And think about those legislators that don't want the police to respond. They want social workers to go there first. Really? How's that going to work? I mean, some of their logic is I can't even figure it out.
Tom Whitesell is the retired chief of police from Riverside. Tom, thank you as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you so much. Have a great morning.
You too, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. Take the journey of living a happy, successful, and meaningful life through God. Listen to It's Time with Dan Lights, Sunday mornings at 9 on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
Maha starts with Virago, making America healthy again. With the worst flu season in years, you need an immune system boost. The stronger your immune system, the stronger your body fights and defends against So get Virago. Virago Immune Enhancement Support is a unique blend of 23 nutraceuticals, ingredients that have been available as individual nutraceuticals, but now working in synergy to maximize their effects. Recommended by medical physicians, dentists, and other healthcare professionals, Virago is the nutraceutical cocktail for immune support. Developed to strengthen your immune system for quick response to immune challenges, for short and long-term immunity, antiviral, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. It even protects your heart, kidneys, liver, all in a unique liquid supplement for better absorption. Order online at myvirago.com. That's myvirago.com. myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Quality ingredients for optimum health. Maha. Making America healthy again starts with Virago.
Spring. A time to get outside, be active, play with the grandkids, enjoy life. But if high blood pressure is holding you back, the sooner you get control of it, the sooner you'll stop being a walking time bomb. High blood pressure is a serious issue. Your blood vessels are constricted, your mortality risk is high. So what can you do besides take medications with side effects? Well, there's a delicious juice that can help bring your numbers back down. It's called 120 Life, and it has natural ingredients that have shown to lower blood pressure. Yes, a superfood juice is showing amazing results for high blood pressure without the side effects of big pharma medication. Try 120 Life risk-free now with a 2-week trial pack. Go to 120life.com and use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping. They're so sure it can lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they'll give your money back if you're not satisfied. Order now. That's 120life.com. Use coupon code 560 at checkout for 15% off.
New treatments for joint pain are here. By now, you've heard about regenerative medicine. If you're wondering if you're a good candidate, answer these questions. First, does chronic pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, or other joints keep you from doing the things you enjoy? Golfing, jogging, time with the family. Does it hurt doing the things you need to do, like getting out of bed, sleeping, working, and walking? And finally, do you want to avoid surgery and all of the pain, long recovery, and uncertainty that comes with it? If you answered yes to any of those, you need to call QC Kinetics now. Learn about exciting advancements in regenerative treatments that can give you long-lasting pain relief with no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime. Get your free consultation today. Call QC Kinetics. That's QC Kinetics. Here's the phone number.
Call now, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955.
Looking for some hope? Listen to Leading the Way with Dr. Michael Youssef on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life. Weekday mornings starting at 8. AM 560. The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Our friend Batya Ungar-Sargon, editorial editor at Newsweek, offers an interesting defense of her support for President Trump on Bill Maher's program. That's at 8:08.
But first, let's head into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
A Riverdale woman charged in a shooting at a Chicago liquor store. A man charged in the killing of a CEO of a Crestwood trucking company. Bulls visit the Jazz. Cubs beat the Yomiuri Giants. WIND, Chicago News Time 8.
Defending the deportations. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Trump insists this is a time of war after repeated calls an invasion of illegal immigrants. Defending invoking the 1798 Alien Enemies Act, something only done 3 times in U.S. history.
Because Biden allowed millions of people, many of them criminals, many of them at the highest level.
The president on Air Force One after 2 flights of migrants, many of them alleged Venezuelan gang members, were flown to El Salvador.
You know, Democrats have made a lot of noise over this, claiming that the White House triggered a constitutional crisis by defying a judge's order. But folks here say that is not what happened at all. The plane was already in the sky over international waters when the judge declared that the president could not invoke the 1789 Alien Enemies Act to deport the alleged gang members without hearings. The press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, says the administration did not refuse to comply with the court order. Federal courts generally have no jurisdiction over the president's conduct of foreign affairs.
That's Fox's Jackie Heinrich at the White House. The president also said this last night as he keeps trying to end Russia's war in Ukraine.
See if we have something to announce maybe by Tuesday. I'll be speaking to President Putin on Tuesday.
He says they're discussing what land each side might get as the president pushes Russia's leader to agree to a ceasefire. Putin has rejected the terms of the U.S. plan that Ukraine agreed to already. Communities in the South and Midwest in tornado tatters.
All of a sudden, it just boom, 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 and just tore all everything up.
He's in Mississippi. This man in Alabama lost everything. His house now just twisted debris.
The only way I'm processing it is just living in the moment of knowing that me and my daughter are okay.
And a lot of people are. At least 40 storm deaths in 7 states. More than 50 tornadoes touched down over the weekend. We just got an update on the economy showing Americans shopped less than expected. Last month, retail sales rose just 0.2% from January, year over year. A 3% increase. Economists were expecting much more. America's listening to Fox News.
27 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A male teen was shot and killed in the Lawndale neighborhood this morning. Chicago police say the shooting took place around 2 a.m. in the 1500 block of South Kildare. Authorities have not released an identity so far. 5 are hurt following a 2-vehicle crash in the far northwest suburbs. The accident happened yesterday morning near North Union Road and Route 176 in Marengo, while the roads were covered in snow during whiteout conditions. National Weather Service confirms at least 4 tornadoes struck the Chicago area, storms sweeping through the region Friday night into early Saturday morning and then into northwest Indiana. A man is charged with the killing of the CEO and president of a trucking company in Crestwood. Joseph Suclia was charged Saturday with first-degree murder in the death of Dane Koteski. Suclia was later arrested after a suspect was identified, arrested in Holland, Michigan, and then extradited back to Crestwood on Friday. The Bulls take on the Jazz tonight. Fighting Illini dancing in the NCAA tournament, a 6 seed. They play Friday against either Xavier or Texas. While for the women in the NCAA tournament, the Fighting Illini are an 8 seed, and they take on Creighton on Saturday. White Sox beat Texas 7-6 in spring ball, while the Cubs beat the Yomiuri Giants at the Tokyo Dome. The news, a service of Dan and Amy 24/7. Around the clock, all day, every day. Listen now, Dan and Amy, 247.com. 8:03, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Maria Bartiromo, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Bloomberg Intelligence is reporting that several tech giants are planning to increase their combined annual spending on AI to the tune of over $500 billion by 2032. Microsoft, Amazon, and Meta Platforms among the companies, projected to spend $371 billion on data centers and AI resources in 2025. That's a 44% uptick from the previous year. The success of China's AI company DeepSeek, the impetus for the spending spree. USB said it will begin to integrate former Credit Suisse client accounts in Switzerland to the USB platform in the coming months. And Moody's has downgraded Volkswagen, the global ratings agency, citing several factors, including strong competition in China and structural challenges. And that's your Fox Business Report. I'm Laura Cantor, invested in you.
8:05, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. However bad you suspected it was even worse. A new study reports that during the Biden administration, at least $1 trillion in taxpayer money was used to push the DEI agenda. The Functional Government Initiative in the Center for Renewing America found 460 programs across 24 government agencies spent money on DEI initiatives. This included FEMA's plan to, quote, instill equity as a foundation of emergency management, unquote, and the Defense Department's mandate to, quote, integrate environment economic justice tools into training. During the Biden presidency, a whole-of-government push injected DEI principles into the bureaucracy. And like the marbling of fat in a good steak, many were inserted as parts of other initiatives and programs, making them doubly difficult to identify and eliminate. This study is a great roadmap. It's time to cut the DEI rut from our government.
You've likely heard about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you'd want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free too, with their 3-week quick start for just $19.95. An easy, affordable way to see how it could literally change your life. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally, developed by doctors. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily, it helps reduce or eliminate pain. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. Trying it couldn't be easier with their 3-week quick start for only $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. And it just takes a phone call. 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Wherever you're having pain, every day you feel better is a day you live better. Try Relief Factor's 3-week quick start today. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
It is 8:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr. Now heard Sunday morning at 7:30 on AM 560. Tune in and find hope each Sunday morning right here on AM 560. The Answer. Orland Park, 143rd Street, east and westbound, shut down entirely between Southwest Highway and West, all due to a disabled semi. It's blocking traffic again in both directions. The Reagan I-88 jams up eastbound right at Randall Road. Tri-State southbound, you're jammed up between the Grand Avenue curve and Roosevelt. Travel times on the inbound Dan Ryan at 32 minutes, 95th into the Circle. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
A bit of sunshine, windy and warm today, the high at 55. Breezy this evening, partly cloudy, low tonight 43. Clouds and sun, breezy day tomorrow, high 67. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
27 at O'Hare, next news 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Before we get to our friend Batya Ungar-Sargon, I would be remiss if I didn't mention and offer a congratulations to my alma mater, Bennett Academy Red Wings, on their first boys basketball title over the weekend. Beat a Game Warren high school team.
All right. Congratulations.
Congratulations to Bennett boys and Gene Heidkamp and the program there, which is actually quite a storied one, really. It's a good basketball program. Doesn't in any way mitigate what we've discussed on this show before and what I've expressed about the lacrosse coach fiasco, about the Benedictines abdicating because of this parental board that they put in, this voluntary board that is, and some staff that have moved the school left, like we've seen in so many Catholic schools. So I still think there's problems there, even though it's, putatively a good school, good ACT scores and all of that, but there are problems there too. But I'm not focused on that. Just it's nice for Gene Heidkamp to get a capstone to his very impressive career as the basketball coach there, and great to get a state title, and it's a big accomplishment. And so there you go. Okay. And, maybe, how about Porter Mosier? How about a little love for, I didn't see him tweet anything out. I tweeted something out. How about Porter Mosier? I guess he's preparing for the tournament, so I'll give him
Yes.
All right.
He's at Oklahoma now, right?
He is, yeah. He went for to leave Loyola to make some real money. Anyway. We mentioned earlier in the program that the favorability ratings for the New Marxist Party, they call themselves Democrats, at a 30-year low. That's not according to me. That's according to a CNN poll. 30-year low, 29% favorability. That could, basically 180 degrees upside down. And, again, Republicans not markedly better at 36% favorability, so there's no, great love affair, but the Dems are in free fall. Something else, too, NBC polling pointed out in terms of right track, wrong track. 44% of the country thinks it's on the right track, but you say, well, the 44%, that's sort of a low number. Not really, not by historical standards.
First of all, the mood of the country. This really jumped out. We asked folks, is it on the right direction or the wrong direction? That 44%, you say right direction, that's up since November. And if that doesn't seem like a lot, the last time it cracked 40%, you got to go back to 2012. The last time it actually hit 44 or higher, January of 2004. So a lot of this is Republicans, but independents, that number is also up since the election on the direction of the country.
Yeah, so there's people are giving Trump a lot of bandwidth because the faith in the opposition party and in the previous administration plummeted over the course of the last 4 years. And so he has quite a bit of runway here, despite the agitprop and the hysterics you see from the left. The big things he's doing have a lot of support, and people are desirous of being optimistic. But the larger point is sort of this, this to some extent, Trump policy agenda that's a bit of an amalgam of some things on the left with some things on the right. This repositioning of the Republican Party that has been much discussed. This was an interesting argument in defense of Trump by Batya Ungar-Sargon, who we've had on the show many times. She is a former leftist who actually, as you'll hear, still considers herself a leftist, even though she is a unabashed Trump supporter. She was on Bill Maher's program over the weekend, and this is the defense she offered to Trump. Take a listen.
I mean, you must have a feeling in your gut, look me in the eye and tell me you don't, that this is really going badly, and I shouldn't have thrown my lot in with this team.
Oh, no, I feel the opposite.
All right. Tell me why.
I'm so sorry, Bill.
No, tell me why.
No, I feel so proud of, I mean, I was never a Republican or a conservative. I was a leftist, and I am still a leftist. I'm just a MAGA leftist now because...
That makes no sense. Please do. Yes, please.
When I look at what President Trump ran on and the agenda that he's enacting right now, he took a Republican Party that was built on social conservatism, foreign interventions and wars, and free trade and free markets. And he basically took an axe to all of those. During the campaign, he said, look, I mean, he's pretty pro-gay. That's pretty obvious. He appointed the highest-ranking out gay person, Scott Bessent, our Secretary of Treasury, which is incredible. And he sidelined the pro-life wing of his party.
He
and
has changed the party, for sure.
Okay, so he believes abortion should be legal for 12 weeks.
But free trade, you mentioned.
On foreign intervention, he's anti-war. He's trying to bring to an end to all of these wars, okay?
By surrendering, but yes.
Okay.
I mean, that is one way to end the war.
Well, you know, he's on the other side of another party that is quite pro-war and wants to keep the war going, right?
But let me just get
to the third point. And the third point is, and he's not free trade. He does not believe in free trade. He looked at our destroyed manufacturing base. He looked at the downwardly mobile working class. He looked at the fact that working class Americans can no longer afford the American dream. And he looked at why that was, which was there was a handshake agreement between both parties that we should somehow have free trade, which resulted in shipping 5 million good manufacturing jobs overseas to build up China and Mexico.
And some came here.
No, what they did was they brought in millions and millions of illegal migrants to compete with the jobs that remained here. And what Donald Trump said was, we have to stop selling out the working class. That agenda that he laid out, socially moderate, anti-war, and anti-free trade protectionist, that is a leftist agenda.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Of course, Batya wants to put the Trump agenda in the, through the prism of leftism so that she doesn't have to feel like she's moved too much. It's just that Trump represents the agenda she wishes the left still represented, although it does in pertinent part. But I digress. But what about that? What about that argument? That's what Trump did, and it's really a leftist agenda. How does that grab you?
I've never heard of a left-leaning MAGA a MAGA Democrat before. Have you, Dan?
Well, a lot of Democrats voted for him. Batya Ungar Sargon is one. The question is whether her characterization of what's happening is correct. And if you believe it's correct, secondary question is, well, that's a reflection of where the majority is. And to the extent that Trump is a pragmatic guy, sort of common sense counter-revolution that we've talked about, that you're going to have to make some concessions where perhaps more philosophical conservatives, like myself, would not want to make those concessions. Is that what you see happening? Because if you think if she's right that it's ultimately a leftist agenda, and we're still walking down the road to serfdom, but we're going to be walking down that road together with our fellow Americans, as opposed to, for example, she mentioned foreign nationals importing a bunch of immigrants from around the world to compete with Americans for jobs. I mean, are those the big distinctions? Does she have it generally right?
312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us on that very same line.
Social moderate. He's moved the party off of pro-life. See, I would say to Batya, and we'll have her on the show to discuss this because it's a provocative statement she made, so it should be interesting. I would say a couple things. One is he didn't move the party off pro-life.
No.
And point of fact, his vice president just spoke at the pro-life march after he spoke at the pro-life march in prior years. So he's expressed his position as being pro-life, which I agree is a position he's evolved to. So I'll quickly hasten to add that. But what he
Right.
did
And
is
we never heard his aha moment of why all of a sudden he became pro-life.
Well, what he did, though, is, I mean, he didn't say abortion legal up to 12 weeks. He said the Supreme Court has made it a state's issue. The pro-life movement has long pushed for it to be a state issue. So let it be decided at the states. We're not going to do anything at the federal level. That's not moving off the pro-life position. I mean, that's a position that, for example, Americans United for Life has had for decades. Get it out of the federal government and move it to the states, where you will have the laboratories of democracy experiment accordingly and try to win it at the state level through state legislatures and governors and so forth. And that's what is going on right now. So that's a little bit of a mischaracterization, I would say, what she said there. In terms of people that are gay, like Scott Bessent or Richard Grinnell, that's not inconsistent with being a conservative. No. I mean, there was never a period where conservatives were saying, well, you shouldn't hire people who are gay. It didn't happen. Oh. Now, that's something maybe the identitarian left allege, but it didn't happen. So that, like, making Scott Bessent your Treasury Secretary isn't some sort of pivoting of the Republican Party to believe that, gays who are talented in one field or another shouldn't be hired by Republicans. I mean, that's just silly. That's not true. So the whole idea he's a social moderate, to some extent personally, he had the dalliance with like trans because Bruce Jenner's a friend. So if Caitlyn wants to use the women's room, he can use the women's room at Trump Tower, sort of stuff like that. He hasn't, I don't know that he spent a lot of time over the course of his career thinking about these issues. They're taking philosophical positions on these issues. He's sort of practical. He's populist. It's where the zeitgeist is. And then he sort of tries to cut deals and pivot accordingly where he thinks the majority is, or where he can stake out a position that doesn't detract from his other more central policy matters, policy issues. So I think that's what he's doing there. But again, I don't see that as moving the party to be whatever quote unquote social moderate means, which basically means the same sort of libertine policies that the left advocates here, sort of social responsibility instead of personal responsibility, socializing your choices and using people as the means to political ends, as we talked about earlier in the program.
Well, here's the thing. Trump does have gay friends, and yes, Scott is one of them. He pointed, but
what does that mean?
Well, he's not using them for
silly statement.
Well, he's not using them for political reasons. So Scott is the Secretary of Treasury who happens to be gay. Pete Buttigieg was always the gay Secretary of Transportation. The left always uses that, like,
yeah, he was a token.
Crutch. Right, yeah, exactly.
Right.
Oh, but he's gay. Well, Scott's, right. I'm just saying that Trump doesn't do that. He just Well, he doesn't use that for political reasons or purposes.
Also, to the point, Scott Bessent is a Republican because he doesn't run around. As I said when he was first nominated, that's the difference, and P-Bud is a perfect contrast. Every answer is as a gay man, and exactly. You never hear that from Scott Bessent because he's as an expert in financial markets or high finance. This is my view. Here's what we're doing on the economy, as we're in all of his dissertations on reducing the size of government in order to allow the private sector to flourish and so forth. Well, that's exactly the philosophical difference, but it has nothing to do with the underlying sexual orientation of Bessent or P-Butt. It has to do with their conduct and their political proselytizing, and that's a perfect distinction in terms of Trump and conservatives versus the left, the identitarian left. On the free markets thing, she has a point to a certain extent, but the Republican Party, over the course of its existence, has had dalliances with protectionism. And frankly, protectionism among Republicans, like Taft Republicans, World War II era, that were more ideologically mercantilist than I think Trump is. I think Trump sees it as a practical approach to advancing America's interests against her adversaries, particularly China. Perhaps, we don't need to relitigate all of this unless you want to, but, the postures with our allies, the EU, Mexico, Canada, and so forth, trading partners that are not averse to our sort of global hegemony. That's a bit of a different story, but I still think it's different. So I would maybe the net, which is why I think it's an interesting conversation, is I don't think she's right that Trump's agenda, the MAGA agenda, is a leftist agenda, but it certainly is a more forgiving agenda when it comes to government interventions in the economy, when it comes even to some extent to size of government, the entitlement state, which is off limits for now, than historically conservatives have been, at least intellectually, if not from a policy framework. It's interesting to think about it, because to sort of understand what Trump is doing is to understand the direction of the party, and depending on performance, maybe make some course corrections into the future. We'll see. Jay in Lake Geneva.
Hey, Prof, don't you get the irony? 30 years ago, you're Pat Robertson and you're Ralph Reed, and we're all social conservatives, the gays are all going to hell. Oh, while your buddies were all running around Bohemian Grove, around naked with each other, huh? You want to talk about that? But here's Trump. He wins, right? He wins. Hold on. Trump's up there with a bunch of gay guys dancing with the village people. Duh. Hollywood comes out with a movie called The Apprentice, trying to make him look bad, saying that he was the apprentice to a gay man, Roy Cohn. It all backfired, and he won. There is some irony here, and it was beautiful. I don't agree with the woman exactly with Bill, but there is some truth there, too. It is very cool. And the whole movement, dude, is in the end what's important. The movement is what's important, and it's not just about Trump. Is this going to be real? Is this going to continue?
Okay, thanks for the call, Jay. First of all, Village People, the guy who penned the Village People, not a gay anthem.
No.
Yeah, just point of order. Yeah. So Trump likes the beat. That doesn't make it. That doesn't mean he's going to be grand marshaling gay pride parades, Jay. So slow your roll a little bit. I don't know about my friends in Bohemian Grove or whatever that means. In terms of Christian conservatives, well, oh, by the way, before you start heaping scorn, Christian conservatives are part of the majority MAGA coalition. So I wouldn't go spiking the football against the constituent partners of the MAGA governing coalition, would you? No, I wouldn't. Just like I'm not spiking the football with respect to trade unions, private sector trade unions, your carpenters, your plumbers, your operating engineers, and so forth. When it comes to protectionist policies with which I disagree with Trump on some of these things. I hope, as I've said before, give him latitude, make his play. I hope it reduces trade barriers, perhaps with the exception of China, which is a rogue state, and that's a different kettle of fish because they're frauds, and thieves, the Chinese Communist Party. But there's always been a variation, sort of one standard deviation of variance on some issues within the party, and there always will be. That's fine. I've supported pro-choice Republicans, even though I'm pro-life. I've supported people who disagree with me on trade issues, even though I'm more of a free market guy, free trade guy too. So I'd be careful how much. I think why she is sort of overstating the case that it's a leftist agenda. I wouldn't want people overstating the case that it's not fundamentally a common sense conservative or a conservative reform agenda, even with a little bit more infusion of populism than I otherwise would subscribe to. Kurt in Lamont.
Yeah, morning. Thanks for taking the call. So my point is, what Sargon said was very interesting. I think there's an element of truth to it. Mm-hmm. Both of my parents were staunch labor supporters. I never agreed with them, but they were, labor supporters. They saw labor as the party of the working man, woman. But they were very socially conservative. And if you look back at the Democrat Party, you can see that how many of the people who would have maybe supported the Democrats in the 50s and 60s wouldn't recognize the party as it is today, because they've basically gone, so far to the left that, people have had a chance to see what those policies bring, what the results are. And so they've moved back to supporting Trump and, moving things to the center, if you will. So, Trump said that he was a Democrat years and years ago. I think there's some element of truth in that, but there is no other alternative for most regular Americans because the policies that are being tried just simply don't work.
Yeah, well, thanks for the call, Kurt. Well, that's right. And Sargon can still call herself, a leftist, but, she's talking about it like in a maybe sort of like you, Kurt and Lamont is talking about, like a JFK Democrat, whereas the party that the people who call themselves Democrats, the new Marxists, that is a revolutionary Marxist party. That's what it has become over the last 4 or 5 cycles, certainly since Obama. It is a Marxist revolutionary party, and that is what people who may have affiliated with Democrats, even on the liberal side, like a Walter Mondale, it was still a patrician, big government left party. But it wasn't a Marxist revolutionary party like it is today. There was always that element there, but they weren't center mass in the party. They're center mass in the party today. You see this playing out with respect to the continuing resolution fight over the last several days, in addition to so many other examples of this. I mean, the energy is with who's on the Stop Oligarchy tour right now. Who's the only guy that really draws crowds in that party? Comrade Bernie at 80 years old. And the apparatchiks underneath him are all those socialist Spice Girls running around like AOC and Jasmine Crockett. What do they want? They want AOC to challenge Chuck Schumer because he's not leftist enough. So that's the dynamic that I think has people sort of recasting what it means to be a label that they've put on themselves because of what the left has become. And the polling, as we've heard from CNN and NBC this morning, bears it out. All right, coming up at 8:38, we'll continue this conversation, but from a less philosophical and more realpolitik approach, what's going on inside the Beltway on these issues, including going back to border security issues with David Drucker from the Dispatch at 8:38.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
8:33, sunshine and 27 degrees. Powerful storms that tore through parts of the South and Midwest over the weekend are blamed for dozens of deaths. Preliminary reports indicate the majority of deaths occurred in Missouri, where at least 12 were killed. President Trump says he'll be speaking to Russian President Vladimir Putin tomorrow about ending the war in Ukraine. Defense and security reporter Dan Sabaugh says Russia may not be ready to stop the fighting just yet.
The one thing that's stopping that from happening is there's a tiny bit of Russia proper, if you like, that Ukraine occupies in Kursk province. The key moment to watch might be when the Russians squeeze them out of Kursk.
And President Trump's special envoy to the Middle East says Russia and Ukraine are close to a deal to end the war between the two countries. Steve Witkoff on CNN's State of the Union.
The president uses the time frame weeks, and I don't disagree with him. I am really hopeful that we're going to see some real progress here.
President Trump says he expects to speak with the Russian president on the matter tomorrow. A number of newborn babies have been exposed to measles at a Texas hospital. Health officials there say a woman who gave birth in a Lubbock hospital didn't realize she was infected with the disease. When she was admitted, parents, babies, and staffers may have been exposed. A male teen was shot and killed in the Lawndale neighborhood this morning. Chicago police say the shooting took place around 2 a.m. in the 1500 block of South Kildare, and Area 4 detectives are investigating. A Riverdale woman is charged in a shooting at a Chicago liquor store on Friday. that left 5 wounded. Police say 2 groups were fighting when Angela Flores drew a gun. Gunfire was exchanged between the 2 groups. Flores took herself to the hospital after being shot, while 2 men who fired shots inside the store fled the scene. Bulls take on the Jazz tonight. Fighting Illini, men and women dancing in the NCAA tournament. The men a 6 seed. They'll take on either Xavier or Texas. The women an 8 seed taking on Creighton on Saturday. Spring baseball, Cubs took down the Yomiuri Giants in exhibition play. Jamison Taillon the win, while the White Sox beat Texas 7-6. The news service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency providing high-performing digital solutions to surround your target audience. Go to surroundchicago.com today. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
President Trump is moving at lightning speed.
Billions of dollars in waste, fraud, and abuse.
Executive orders, new policies, promises kept. It's hard to keep up until now. Subscribe to the Trump Report. This email brings you daily highlights from the Oval Office right to your inbox 5 days a week.
The golden age of America begins right now.
It'll help you follow President Trump at the speed of Trump. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/Trump.
Take control of your dialysis journey with Vitality Dialysis, where home dialysis meets personal freedom. Manage your dialysis treatments from the comfort of home. No more tedious traveling to clinics nor adjusting your life around the clinic's hours. With Vitality Dialysis, you'll spend less time traveling, less time feeling sick, and more time living life on your terms. Their cutting-edge home dialysis program and innovative home treatment technology gives you the flexibility, independence, and greatly improved personalized care that you deserve. The expert clinical team at Vitality Dialysis provides comprehensive in-home training, along with equipment, supplies, labs, and medications. This includes 24/7 support and ongoing monitoring and guidance so you feel safe and supported. Plus, it's covered by most insurance plans. Visit vitalitydialysis.com to schedule your personalized consultation. That's vitalitydialysis.com or call 224-367-6162. Your health, your home, your way. Vitality Dialysis.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to end your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other IRS actions. Make sure you're getting the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima today for a free confidential consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. This new year, get out of debt now. There are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. In 2025, resolve to get rid of your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. For almost 20 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. To celebrate 2025, you can start for as little as $99 regardless of how much debt you owe. Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau and a Christian-owned company. End the endless cycle of payments now. Take a stand. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially cut your monthly payments. Call Christian-owned Total Financial Freedom now for a free consultation at 800-533-6605. That's 800-533-6605. 800-533-6605.
8:39, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update is a service of True Green. We're back in the Miller's Yard, who now use True Green. The lawn started looking like a golf course, and now PGA golfers have made it their favorite stop. Get a PGA Tour quality lawn for as little as $1 a day at TrueGreen.com. Exclusions apply. See truegreen.com for details. The Kennedy is right now at 70 minutes. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Stevenson right now is 75 minutes from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan Express Lane stop and go inbound Garfield to the Stevenson. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Windy and warmer with sunshine today, high 55. Breezy, partly cloudy, 43 overnight. Tomorrow, warmer, high near 67. Mostly sunny and 29. Your next news update is at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Somebody should tell California Governor Patrick Bateman that he has to get through a primary first if he wants to be president of the United States.
Okay.
How is that podcast working out for him? By the way, how's that podcast working out for him while we continue to get images back from Pacific Palisades and other places decimated by the wildfires where not much has been done? Meanwhile, Gavin Newsom is focused on his podcast. That may be informing some of the data coming out of a new poll by Capital Weekly, which is a political outlet in California. And I don't think like this exchange with Steve Bannon is going to help his numbers much. Newsom's positioning here is I'm the MAGA whisperer. I can talk to the leading lights of MAGA world and be constructive and show us how we do this and sort of move the party to be less acrimonious even while we stick to our guns, so to speak. But is Newsom really sticking to his guns? This is an exchange between him and Bannon, the most recent guest on tariffs.
But let's talk about those red states. Aren't they disproportionate the ones impacted by these tariffs? I mean, to your point, there's going to be some tears here. And I appreciate the larger geopolitical and what you're trying to argue for ultimately coming out on the other side. But this transition is not overnight. The transition will come at real cost and consequence. Let's just be pragmatic. Up in Minnesota, Michigan, in New York, they're looking at $100 more a month on electricity bills as it relates to the retaliatory nature of what happened.
That's a threat. That's if it goes through some
agricultural. That's just one example. I mean, every economist looks at the impacts of these tariffs. Obviously, California will be disproportionately impacted.
We did this, Governor. We did the most significant tariffs we've ever done on the Chinese Communist Party, and I think there may be some dislocations in the short term, but in the intermediate term, I think it's really the way you get to the sunlit uplands of really having back to the American plan of, remember, world-class industrial manufacturing that generates so many other opportunities.
I think it's a mutual goal for all of us. But industrial policy, which I think is missing a little bit from the Trump agenda, with targeted tariffs, I understand, but broad tariffs without an industrial policy to back it up is where I start to lose a little.
Well, I don't think Gavin Newsom knows what industrial policy means, but regardless, I mean, being lectured about protectionist policies by Gavin Newsom is like being lectured on protectionist policies by Justin Trudeau or the EU for that matter. So there's no distinction there. So it's all just sort of tonality that he is trying to sell, being unctuous as is his wont and disingenuous as is his brand. Well, what are the numbers? Gavin Newsom's favorability amongst liberals, self-identified, has declined from 46 to 30. Some Republicans agree with some of his alleged stances. They overwhelmingly view him as insincere, calling him fake and pandering. Gee, that's really hard to pick up on. His net favorability dropped from +4 to -6, which is a 10-point swing in the wrong direction. And only 13% of voters had an improved perception of him, and only 1 in 5 said the podcast made them want to tune in for more. So a part of that is a function of Gavin Newsom. Part of that may just be a function of the political landscape. Something else too that has the left, siding with Tren de Aragua as Jasmine Crockett did in terms of deportations. They've got a problem, and they've got many problems, but one of the problems that is particular to mass deportations and essentially the elimination of gotaways, the 95% reduction in illegal crossings since Trump took office. The problem is that blue states are hemorrhaging population. And a good piece by Nate Moore over at the Liberal Patriot, The Blue State Exodus Should Scare Democrats, looks at the projected 2030 census, the remapping that will occur and reapportionment that will occur as part of the 2030 census. And what you see is Texas gaining 4 congressional seats. Florida gaining 4 congressional seats.
Wow.
New York losing 2. Connecticut losing 1. Illinois losing 1. Wisconsin losing 1. Minnesota losing 1. California losing 3.
Wow.
Idaho gaining 1. Nevada gaining 1. That is bad for the electoral math if you are a man or woman of the left. Okay. And it also explains why, for example, you see our Governor Jelly Belly taking the position of, I'm going to be the most over the top, the most outlandish critic of Trump, because he's playing to the base of the party that he's trying to appeal to in a primary in 2028, isn't he? For more on this, and see if he agrees with my supposition on it, David Drucker joins us, senior writer for The Dispatch, author of In Trump's Shadow, The Battle for 2024 and the Future of the GOP. David, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yep, good to be here.
How about Gavin Newsom's podcast and positioning and how unwell it seems to be going so far?
Well, you never know how these things are going to go long term. I've seen politicians that are rising at this point, and if you want to call it the next presidential election cycle, only to be yesterday's news by this time next year, which is still far away from the Democratic primary. I actually looked at this as an effort by a prominent Democrat to reach the sort of male voter and young male voter in particular that listens to podcasts. Right? I mean, it's a big part of not the only part by any stretch, but a big part of why Trump won. Some significant part is his focus on what we like to think of as non-traditional media, going on a lot of podcasts with hosts that appeal to men and young men in particular. I'm talking 18 to 29-year-olds. And his numbers improved over 2020 significantly. Definitely made a difference, and Democrats recognize that they need to compete in this arena. So I don't know if it'll be successful. And often it's not just about showing up, but what you say when you show up. But I just looked at this as his way of trying to reach the kind of voter that doesn't care what Gavin Newsom has to say, but is interested in what Charlie Kirk and Steve Bannon has to say.
Yeah, but if you're not taking up their flag, then engaging somebody with who they are more likely to agree with doesn't do much for you. For example, it's not like Gavin Newsom is on his podcast or many of these other Democrats railing against the 45 colleges that the DOJ is now investigating for anti-white discrimination. I mean, it's not just Trump; it's the policy agenda, it's the experience that a lot of young men are having under identitarian rule or had under identitarian rule the past 4 years that is informing their move too.
Well, that's part of it, but that's not all of it. I mean, I wrote extensively about this recently in a piece from Dispatch, and a lot of it is just how young men feel culturally ignored. Not necessarily that they have an issue with the other people that are not ignored, but what about me, right? And what pollsters have explained to me is that they're not really that ideological yet. They're not really that political. They just want this sense that they're being heard and that they're being validated, and there's nothing wrong with them just because they happen to be men. And this thing crosses racial lines. And so, again, I don't know that it's going to matter. It is important what you say when you show up, but these are also voters that shouldn't be understood to be like your normal Republican base voters that are going to be automatically resistant to a center-left politician or even a very liberal politician.
What do you make of? Oh,
true,
well,
but I mean the other piece of that snapshot in time. I agree. Polling on Newsom, which is a problem for Newsom, and it may not be as big a problem for other candidates on the left. I just don't believe what he's saying because he's so obviously disingenuous.
I don't think the problem is what he's saying. I think Newsom's big challenge, if he runs for president in 2028, is that there are a lot of problems that have persisted under his leadership in California over 2 terms, whether it's voters' concerns about homelessness or crime, a difficult regulatory regime, that they won't think about the regulations, but they will think about the high cost of housing and gasoline. And these are issues that Democrats in California have told me will be difficult for him will be his challenges to deal with if he runs for president.
Well, what about his podcast? And now you have Michelle Obama with her brother, doing a podcast. Are the Democrats just trying to save their party or doing something that conservatives have been doing with podcasting and reaching out to people?
I think they're doing what all political parties do after they lose or after they've decided they've lost enough. They're trying something different. It doesn't always work. Sometimes it takes time for them to figure out how they want to do the new thing. But look, I mean, don't forget, this is true of both Democrats and Republicans. I mean, Republicans felt like they got their, I'm going to go back in time a little bit here, but after 2000, which was a very narrow election, the Republicans thought that their voter turnout operation really lacked compared to the Democrats. So they overhauled it. In 2004, it was much better. You get to 2008, Democrats felt like they had fallen behind traditional organizing, something they'd always done very well with, and the Obama campaign refined it and made it better. So you see political parties, whether it's messaging or positions or mechanics, always seek to do things differently because they've lost or because they've lost repeatedly and they're tired of it.
No, I agree with that, especially on the mechanics piece. But I'm not sure I don't think you're saying this exclusively, but like the idea, the medium is the message. If that's what they think, then there's a lot of data that suggests they're not seeing this picture clearly.
Well, it takes time for political parties to hold these internal debates and come out on the other side, right? But we've seen it with both Republicans and Democrats. Some will argue the problem is the medium, or we just didn't talk about what we're for well enough, and if we'd only explained it better. No, I mean, people like to make themselves feel better with that. Some of it is just, what are you for? What are you against? It may not work for enough voters in the right places. And Democrats have that issue, whether it's with illegal immigration or how they approach working class voters and how they approach culture. And so they're, they will work it out eventually, because eventually they'll get tired of losing, whether it's 28 or 32 or 36. These things always get worked out.
Well, it's interesting because the apparent schism over the continuing resolution between those who wanted to, quote unquote, shut down the government and those like Schumer who did not, and Schumer taking all this heat from, the base of the caucuses. But they both agree on one thing. They agree that what we're really going to do is we're going to demagogue Trump and Musk and Tom Homan. And to your point, I don't think that's going to be enough. So now whether they pivot in the short term or medium term or long term, I don't know. But what they're doing right now is not going to be enough.
Well, it won't be enough, but they're also not operating and messaging in a vacuum, right? I mean, voters are going to make assessments about Trump and his administration on various things, and that will also inform how they vote. I mean, a lot of the voting over the past, 25 years or so has been more a function of what voters are against in terms of, voting for one party or one candidate because they weren't happy with what the other side was doing. Then the party that gets voted in assumes that the voters actually support their platform, and all they're saying is, no, we just really didn't like what the other guy was doing. And this has gone back and forth. So, we will see. I'll say one thing Schumer did that was tactically smart, even though his base is unhappy with it, is refused to lead his party into a feudal shutdown. They would have been blamed because they don't have the numbers.
Right.
Some people get this thing wrong. Republicans always get blamed. Republicans usually get blamed for shutdowns because they usually cause them. But in the first term, Senate Democrats led a shutdown. They were blamed. They had to fold. And if Schumer would have led his party into a shutdown here, they would have been blamed and they would have had to fold.
David Drucker, senior writer for The Dispatch, author of In Trump's Shadow, The Battle for 2024 and the Future of the GOP. David, thank you.
Anytime.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
You can hear this today at PregerTopia.com.
I always talk to strangers. I have massive opportunities because I'm on the road so much. I have this contest with me. Can I make the person in the elevator laugh in the 30 seconds that we're together? All these studies that show if you talk to strangers, you'll be happier.
Hear the entire episode. It's for Pregertopia members only. Go to PregerTopia.com.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in taxes and keeping less of their money to live and do what they enjoy. That's why we've put out the retirement tax bill calculator online. You can see with your own eyes just how much you might be overpaying. It's a valuable tool, $500 value, but we made it free for you to view and run your own numbers at MVPCFP.com. That's MVPCFP.com.
To run your retirement tax bill calculator, go to MVPCFP.com. Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
You never want to miss one of life's most important moments. A graduation, a birthday, a first communion, a wedding. When these moments happen, you want to make sure to capture them so that you and your loved ones can remember them for years to come. For over 30 years, families have relied on Tom Kaloran Photography to capture important life moments. This locally owned family business can provide the solutions you need for your important event photography, from weddings and birthdays to class reunions and golf outings. No matter the size or scope, Tom Kaloran Photography will make sure you have lasting memories to share for years to come. Tom Kaloran Photography is also the official photographer for AM 560 The Answer. To learn more and to see their portfolio, just visit KaloranPhotography.com. That's KILLORAN Photography.com. Or call them at 708-361-0025. Tom Kaloran Photography, capturing important life moments for over 30 years.
President Trump has made some pretty amazing claims since he's taken his seat as president. He's delivering on what he promised. On Inauguration Day, Trump's very first declaration was,
"The golden age of America begins right now. From this day forward, our country will flourish."
Consider this. Since the election, gold has shot up hundreds of dollars per ounce, shattering all-time record highs. Fox Valley Coins does not pretend to know the future, but they do know that if you're buying or selling gold or silver, they are the place to do it. These are some of the top reasons people choose a dealer. You want a national dealer with a local presence you can deal with face-to-face. You want a large selection, the best prices, and great service. You want to walk in with cash and walk out with the best product. You want to deal with legacy dealers with integrity. Whether buying or selling or just one valuation, Fox Valley Coins is your answer for choosing a dealer. Visit Fox Valley Coins, 1 light north of I-88 on Route 59 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. FoxValleyCoins.com. Family-owned integrity since 1981. AM 560, The Answer.
Have you ever heard of something called a Borg?
No.
Borg. It's perfect for St. Patrick's Day. It is short for Blackout Rage Gallon. It's a large personalized alcohol drink among college students, typically made in a gallon jug with water, alcohol, often vodka, flavorings, and sometimes electrolytes.
Wow.
The Borg, a gallon of vodka and electrolytes and some flavorings.
What could go wrong? Happy St. Patrick's Day, thanks to Quinn and Justice. It's now 9 a.m. WIAT
Parts of the South and Midwest in tornado tatters. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
When that storm tore through, it was pretty loud. And of course, when I heard the hit,